Back with you on America's Day at the Races on our Saturday afternoon program here on FS2. It's brought to you in part by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Race 7 kicks off the Late Pick 4 here at South Ozone Park. $25,000 claiming race, 1 turn mile, and there is the primary threat to the big favorite coming off the long layoff. This is Warstopper, the 9, 6-year-old who is dropping out of much tougher company for David Jacobson. Over to talk through the group in the paddock. Back from vacation. Good to see you again, Maggie Wolfendale.
Thank you, Greg. As to you, too. As so pleased to be back down here in the Aqueduct paddock. And I think the feature of this race, or the question of this race, is which, if any, of these drop-down horses do you trust in here? As we'll take a look at the horse coming in off of the year-and-a-half kind of plus layoff, and that's number 7, Musical Heart in here. As you guys were mentioning, comes off of a poor performance in the Brooklyn, and we haven't seen him since early June of 2021. Now, I was not his biggest fan, not a member of his fan club, I should say, when he was actually doing some of that good running, just from the physical sense of things. You know, he was a bit lighter. He didn't carry as much conditioning as I wanted to see across that top line, kind of going back to those spring races with him. I will say he is filled out a bit, which you would hope and expect to see coming in off such a layoff. Is very laid back here in the paddock. I wish there was just a bit more intensity, to be honest. You know, you don't want one to be nervous, but you also want one to be revved up and ready to go for a comeback. Not that he's a horse that regularly has a disposition of being sharp, but still very, very subdued in the paddock. So to take a short price on him, I'm just not overly sold on doing so, as he does return wearing those front wraps. Next, we'll move on to the main thread, as Greg was saying, in number 9, Warstopper. Now, he's one that I think the 1-turn mile is the ideal distance for him. He just kind of gets outrun going shorter, and I don't think he's necessarily one that's great going a mile and an eighth, going the 9 furlongs. Now, the last time I saw him, he was coming in off a layoff, and he's had 4 subsequent starts since then, so he's a far more fit-looking animal, and he looks good in here. I like the way that since he's been tacked, he's engaged, he's keen here in the paddock. For me, of the two, I feel a lot more confident in taking Warstopper getting back out to a mile. Now, I do want to check in with one horse for Rudy Rodriguez. He looks a bit cheaper on paper. That's number 1, Runabout in here. I just think getting back out to this distance is better for him. He kind of dropped back a bit going around the turn last time. He's going to have to find some of his better races. We'll see if it's in there, but he is striding out quite nicely, pretty sharp here in the paddock. Just one that, if he offers some value, I think is worth a look, as unfortunately, Greg, he's coupled with the drop down perceived.
Post parade coming up. Thank you, Maggie. We're 5 minutes away from this pick 4. It is still Musical Heart, but they've cooled the betting public on the 7 a little bit, up to 2-1 right now.
Some of the people went broke, actually, and they just in that short time period. You'll never have value with an entry, and that's the problem with entries. There was a really awful example of an entry the other day where, you know, I like the weaker half, and the weaker half won, and the entry was 3-5 based on the other horse. And this is one where I actually think the 1A is a little interesting here, but I could never bet because you're never getting value in entries.
Well, there's the first half that went by Runabout. Dylan Davis will ride, and the other half is Perceived.
Don't know if he can run anymore, Perceived, but there was a time not that long ago that he would bury this field.
He's second to Warrior Johnny Saratoga this year. Here's the 2, Night Ops. He has the rail.
Yeah, he just seems to have completely lost his form.
It's mandatory, a little bit interesting. Eduardo Jones off the claim. Jackie Davis.
Well, he's going to be forward in here with the scratch of Uno, who's running tomorrow. There's less pace.
Microscope at 19-1.
I took a shot with him. I think he has some things to like. Second off a layoff, stretching out off a long layoff.
Favorite just went by with Kendrick Carmouche.
We've discussed him at length. He can win, but I want no part of him. Maggie didn't seem thrilled either.
Grump's Little Tots for Charlie Baker went by the 8.
He's a little interesting, Grump's Little Tots. His last race is okay.
And Warstopper, that price coming down.
Yeah, and he makes a ton of sense in here. You just have to ask yourself how much you worry about the drop.
Hammer and Armor at 8-1.
Gustavo Rodriguez claimed him, and he's the one who got him back to good form a year and a half ago, but he was winning a lot more races back then, Gustavo.
And Pit Boss, J.D. Acosta for Lynn Cash, 9-1.
I wish he had a few more faster races, but I always look at these Lynn Cash horses because sometimes their PPs don't even seem to matter. His horses run often at bigger prices.
His numbers out of town, they match up with some of the best in this group. We'll see if he can translate that form here to New York. 3 minutes away from the start of this pick 4. Help us out, JK. Who's your best bet of the day?
Well, my best bet of the day so far is going to be this pick 4. I thought it was a really tough sequence, and I am gonna go with the 9 War Stopper in here for a few reasons. One, I think that Maggie mentioned that some of the longer distances this horse has run haven't always worked out, but I do think that the longer distances are better for him than the 6 furlongs. Last time, if you watched that race on December 30th, yes, War Stopper did get a setup. The pace was pretty quick in front. Race kind of fell apart. This horse came from out of it. But I think that was just kind of a performance that the distance was the problem there. That's why this setup helped so much. I think at a longer distance, War Stopper, I think will probably appreciate a little bit of added ground. The other thing is, when you look back at some of War Stopper's previous races, he's got races like Andy mentioned about Perceive that would bury this field. This horse has big performances, big numbers. In a race where I don't trust the favorite, and all of the other horses that you try to get cute and creative with just don't seem fast enough, I'm going to give War Stopper a chance. And David Jacobson, he's always been very active in the claiming game. He's one of those guys that I don't feel like I necessarily worry about him letting go of a horse, taking one and taking what he can get, taking some money off of the table. So I think War Stopper is interesting, especially if they're going to continue to bet the 7 the way they are.
Wow. All of a sudden, War Stopper, thanks, JK, has become the favorite now. 2-1, there he is. So he overtakes.
Should be favored.
Yeah, he overtakes this long layoff runner, Musical Heart.
Yeah, no, he should be favored in here. I don't think there's a strong argument against it. I think, his last race, listen, I bet him last time. I thought he ran fine. That was a race that was dominated up front. Nobody really made any move up ground except for him. 6 furlongs was too short for him, and it was a fast race. Race that was run as quickly as a stake race, faster than a stake race, was run at the same distance earlier that day. And it was dominated by forward horses, the speed duel between the first and third finishers. David Jacobson, I found this stat, 50% drops on the dirt. He's 4 for 29 over the last 5 years. That's 14%. That's 91% ROI. 0 for 4 since he's come back recently. I think there are some concerns about the drop down, but no concern as far as him on paper. He's better than these.
Well, we talked about this barn and the 11 Pit Boss. Lynn Cash's horses have been running here in New York. With more, let's go back to Maggie.
And Greg, I know you pay attention to them when they ship in here because they seem to overachieve each time they're entered in a race here on the NYRA circuit. And Pit Boss, last time watching that race, he was won by the 8-5 favorite in Boss Logic. And watching him too, it was over a sealed racetrack in which he came off the turn on his outside lead. So he had that backwards, and then late he switched back to his inside lead. So he just never gave the impression of being entirely comfortable over that surface. And we go back to his fast track effort before that. It resulted in a win. As Andy said, he's going to have to run a little bit faster, but we've seen it time and time again that they kind of step up to the competition when these Lynn Cash horses ship up here. And two, to Andy's point about the racetrack, there is not much water left in this track. There's some. It's definitely not a fast track, but it's listed as good right now, or muddy. Sorry, good. And that seems to be fair. We're definitely heading in the right direction as far as track conditions. So Pit Boss, he made a great impression on me from start to nearly finish of these preliminaries in that really energetic but controlled, great muscle mass to him. And I feel like things could set up well for him to get that nice stalking trip from the outside. I'm going to roll the dice and take my chances with this 9-1 shot, Greg.
All right, thank you, Maggie.
Can I discuss my ridiculous pick?
Go ahead.
Okay, as far as Microscope, he's second off a long layoff. He, too, tried a sprint last time. He's not a sprinter. He's a router. On the go-back, he has buyer figures in the 80s. In fact, just 3 back, he ran one that I think would make him at least somewhat contentious. This race is filled with question marks. If you take the 7 as a horse, for me, I'm just not betting on. And the 9, who's a suspect drop-down, while acknowledging he's the horse to beat. If you look beyond those two, it's just a field of horses that are extreme question marks without particularly strong races. So I don't see why he's necessarily significantly worse than them. The entry's getting bet down to 3-1. I don't get the 1 at all, and yeah, I think the 1A is interesting, but it's a horrible value entry. I certainly have a 1-6, just as I have a 9-6. But I think this horse, 30-1 right now, I think his credentials are much better than 30-1, so I'll bet a few dollars.
Could be a lucrative pick 4. Includes the Jerome, includes the Queens County. That Queens County, did you believe it was a 2-horse race?
I think on paper, it's very much between the two logical horses, that being Law Professor and Unbridled Bomber. I'm a big Unbridled Bomber fan, so I prefer him. I think he's a really cool horse. You know what? I'm kind of hoping that he takes a step forward. He becomes a player going forward. It would be a good story not only for Jimmy Ryerson, trainer around here, doesn't get a lot of opportunities, but a lot of people won't remember. He had another horse, an Unbridled something, that was pretty good. He was the trainer of Unbridled Song for the vast majority of his career, and I think it's kind of cool that he has a chance to have a pretty good stakes horse with another horse named Unbridled something.
Here's Night Ops stepping in. Bruce Brown. Well, I mean, there was a time when Night Ops would have been an odds-on favorite in this group. Not that long ago,
his
actually.
Art Collector race in Saratoga in the Alley-Dar in 2021 would give him a pretty good chance in here. I don't care what anybody does. But he just
not
lost
the same horse since then, no question. Part of the entry stepping in. Perceived. Pronounced Jose Gomez. And there's the favorite. War Stopper, 2-1.
How about 3-1 in the entry? That is impossible to see. Right?
I did not expect that.
I mean, I could go onto my entry rant forever. It's 2023 now. Bettors should be allowed to choose which horse they want to bet. Get rid of entries.
Pick 4 begins here. Let's go upstairs to Chris Griffin.
And they're off. Pit Boss has early speed, and there is Musical Heart in between horses. Kendrick Carmouche, they're now ahead in front. Pit Boss is going to stalk right off of this pace setter now from second. In between horses, there is Runabout, as they are now tightly bunched as they slow down that early tempo. It's Mandatory is tightly at the rail. War Stoppers in the red cap in between horses with the wide run Hammer and Armor, who now takes third. Losing some ground there was Perceived, followed by Grump's Little Tots, Microscope, and the trailer is Night Ops. They work up the backstretch. It's Musical Heart who's got the lead. Musical Heart in an easy 23.97 for an opening quarter mile. Pit Boss is stalking right there from second. Hammer and Armor still out in the center of the racetrack in third. Runabout, Dylan Davis, they progress. They're in the 4th spot. Tightly at the rail is going to be It's Mandatory, followed by War Stopper, who's now in the 6th position as they get set to move into the far turn. A half mile left to go. 47.19 for a half mile time. It's Musical Heart still the target. Musical Heart is in front. Pit Boss has been there the entire journey so far. Hammer and Armor with that wide run is now 3 wide coming after the leaders. And Runabout, War Stopper is getting ready to split rivals. And here comes War Stopper, is now taking that 3rd position as a clear third as they approach a quarter mile left to go. Dropping back, it's Mandatory. The rest with a lot of running to do. Musical Heart turns for home, is a nose in front. Pit Boss, and here's the run from War Stopper. War Stopper out in the center of the racetrack, approaches an 1/8 of a mile to go, and War Stopper is just striding away now. It is War Stopper who's up by a quick 2-3 widening lengths. Pit Boss, Musical Heart is chasing with Runabout. War Stopper inside the final 16th is going to win. It is all War Stopper wins this one with a nice trip. It's War Stopper who gets the victory over Musical Heart, Pit Boss, and Runabout in 1 minute 37.16 seconds.
Huge drop down in class, and War Stopper much the best against this group.
I think the only real question is how many claims there are in this horse. I'm going to guess it's at least a dozen people tried to claim this horse, and not surprisingly, and he ran to it. He ran like a horse that shouldn't have been dropping down to 25. Now, maybe there's some reasons he did it, but he was a completely different class than these. I guess the horse Musical Heart ran fine off the layoff, but this horse won by so much. I think basically nobody else did any running behind them. He was just a week the best.
5th win of his career. This was as easy as could be. Jason Wyas aboard for David Jacobson. Claim for $62,500 2 starts ago.
So after he gets $27,500 for his winner's share of the purse, and he gets claimed, he will only lose David Jacobson about, all things included, cost and everything, about $10,000 to $15,000 having this horse for a couple months. Goodbye. Got the win, though.
9-7, 11-1. Top 2 choice on the board, 1-2.
I think that's not how you play the claiming game.
No. But on the board with a W.
And quite a W it was. Apparently it's a 10-way shake, I just was told.
Wow, I would have gone
I would have gone
over.
over. That's because if you and I could come up with $25,000, Greg, we would have been in there, either individually or together.
No question.
I have like about 80, I think, in my pocket.
4th at Oaklawn. Dollars you're talking about, or 1,000? 2 minutes to post in this 4th coming up. It is a 6 furlong sprint condition claiming race. We're going to check in with Paula Duca.
Thanks, Greg. I don't think I can lend you guys any money over there, Andy. I apologize. Great day here in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Absolutely beautiful day. About in the mid-50s, but the sun is out. As soon as that sun goes down, it'll be a little bit chillier. I will say this: so far, the first 3 races that we've had, gate to wire, all 3 of them. Now, I don't know if they've been the best horses. The horse in the first race was 12-1 with Johnny Court and got the job done. Then the favorite, and then that was Robertino Diodoro, who won his 3,000th race with Arthurian in race number 2. We're going to catch up with Robertino Diodoro in race number 5, hopefully. He has a first-time starter in there. He also is going to try to get 3,001 in here, and he's got one of the favorites in here, the 9, starting to get bet down to 2-1. Catechism, is a horse that last time out was claimed. Robertino, the horse in the second race, he claimed for 20, dropped for 10, got the job done. He's been doing that a lot here because of the purse structure. This one, he claimed for 10 and now, just finds the same spot. This is basically the same level at 12.5. And, this horse, if you go way back deep, there is some races at Churchill Downs. Now, the problem is that she's not a win machine. She's 3 for 29 lifetime with a lot of seconds and thirds. So I don't know if you want to take 2-1 on her. But, it's Robertino, and maybe he's going to have one of those days. He's got 5 in today. He already has a W. The 11 Legendary Gift taking a ton of money at the windows. Also not a win machine, but 15-1 with Kylie Jordan on the drop. And I would think this horse is going to blast out of there and maybe try to take control. At least that's my thought. I thought the 7 Little Miss Hot Mess looked the best on the racetrack. My worry is the horse 0 for 11 here at Oaklawn Park. So that's another horse that's, tough to get behind. And then you got the 4 Lady Shaman, claimed for 16.3 last time out at Oaklawn, but hasn't been seen since March. So there's so many different question marks in this race. I think you just have to reach out for somewhat of a price in it. I don't understand why the 10 put a bow on it. The horse has been having some recent racing, decent races. I get it, some lighter fields, but I'm just trying to reach for a price. I don't trust a lot of these in here. I think the 9 could be the most likeliest winner. The 11's getting bet. I'm just going to put a small little bet on the 10 in here. This race has already confused me in the first one, but I think the rest of the races aren't going to confuse me, Greg, hopefully.
Andy and Paulie, did you guys just become best friends here? You like the same horse.
The 10?
The 10.
Well, why is the 10, now he's 10-1, he's 15-1 when he first started. This horse makes a lot of sense cutting back. I think makes sense at a bit of a price. I don't know how they could make the 11 15-1. I had written down the horse as the horse to beat. I'm not overly thrilled with the 9. First of all, Paulie and I were best friends to begin with, okay? I just want to get that out in the clear. Okay, and Paulie was lying. He would have lent me the money for that horse.
Oh, of course
he would have. So he's lying on the air. I don't know. I feel good. But unlike Paulie, I'm not convinced that I'm going to have good opinions the rest of the day. So, but I'm glad one of us has some confidence.
We're going to look at Catechism, the favorite. 5-2 on the 9 here for Diodoro. See if he can get 3,001 here coming up. Became the 37th trainer in the history of the sport back in race 2 to notch number 3,000 in this game. Catechism, this was back on December 9th last time out. Just missed. Showed good early speed, missed by a half length.
Yeah, I mean, I think you like this horse. You're hoping he improves for Diodoro. He's one of these horses that has good back form. If you go back the end of 2021, he was running races that would beat these. And with a lot of the trainers that are claiming trainers that do well, they get their horses to get back to some of those better races. And maybe it's a positive. This horse is moving up in class. Claimed it for 10, moving up to 12.5.
He got pushed out a little bit.
Yeah, they don't believe that herding's a problem out at the racetrack. Unlike if I was a steward, there'd be a lot. The game would look different. There wouldn't be any herding going on. But I mean,
you wouldn't be allowed in.
What?
You wouldn't be allowed in the state.
Well, right. I couldn't be a steward because I'm too riddled with biases. But unlike a lot of people, at least I admit it. I didn't think this horse was anything special in here. I mean, the one thing you could say is he's the speed, and if he's the speed of the speed, he can win. But 5-2 doesn't seem like a. I thought that the 4, 10, and 11 they were my 3 in here.
There is some other pace, but he does look like he's the best pace.
I guess it just depends a lot.
The 7, by the way, just coming out.
That changes everything, Greg.
Who?
I don't think was going to be a factor.
It was one of the horses to beat for Karl Broberg, so big scratch.
What price was he? Wait, he wasn't.
No, this horse was 4-1.
Oh, he was. Okay, yes. Coming off a layoff. Ran a big race last time.
All right, so Contender taken out of the mix here in this fourth. Late scratch of the 7 for the Broberg barn. Little Miss Hot Mess out. And that was a horse that had the ability to sit, stalk, get a really good trip in here as well. So with that, the 9, Catechism, down to 2-1 favoritism. Legendary Gift, the 11, continuing to take support. Third choice on the board here at 3-1.
Trying to get there again. I was obviously found a mile and a 16th way too far last time. Cutting back, though. This is a trainer, the 11, 0 for 36, turning back from routes to sprints at Oaklawn. How about that? That's amazing, right?
Yeah, that's a big-time number.
For no 5-2 shot.
We have a new audience joining us. We're going to take a slight pause, not going anywhere, so stay with us. And we'll pick things back up here with his 4th from Oaklawn here in just a moment on America's Day at the Races. Welcome to those just joining us at Bally Sports SoCal and San Diego. Those already with us on FS2. You're watching America's Day at the Races on a day where we have the Derby Trail picking back up here in New York with the Jerome. We look forward to that coming up. We also have the Queens County Stakes race that follows that Jerome. Right now we're live in Hot Springs, Arkansas for the 4th here at Oaklawn. Late scratch of the 7, who was one of the main contenders, the 9, Catechism. Robertino Diodoro picked up his 3,000th career training victory earlier on the card back in race number 2. Well, he's got the one to beat here with Christian Torres, 2-1 favorite. Let's go to Vic Stauffer for the call.
Put a bow on it. Lady Shaman. Legendary Gift. 2 more. Dorita's Heart and Caged Bear. They're at the post. They're off. Slow start, Briar Thicket and CC the Bartender. Good start for several. Legendary Gift, Nostalgia, Lady Shaman, and Becky's Tattoo. Caged Bear is close up with Put a Bow on It. Catechism is taken back off the pace, and she doesn't like it. Threw her head up in the air. Then comes CC the Bartender and Dorita's Heart, and the trailer is the slow starting Briar Thicket. So Nostalgia and Lady Shaman are 1-2. Nostalgia is a neck in front. Lady Shaman is second, 3/4 of a length to Legendary Gift, 3 deep in third. Catechism is now on the move. She's been given her head, and she moves up 4 deep in fourth with Caged Bear just inside of her. Becky's Tattoo has 5 lengths to make up. She's 3 in front of the 9-year-old CC the Bartender. 3 back to Dorita's Heart and Put a Bow on It. Briar Thicket has trailed throughout, and Lady Shaman has taken over the lead. It is Lady Shaman at the top of the stretch. She's 1.5 lengths in front of Legendary Gift, who's run up to take second. Then comes Nostalgia in third. Lady Shaman final furlong. She leads Legendary Gift, now only 3/4 of a length. Becky's Tattoo is moving at the rail. She's got a chance as well. Lady Shaman reaches. Legendary Gift tries to forge on by. Becky's Tattoo might get them both, and she has. Becky's Tattoo. Becky's Tattoo beat Lady Shaman. Legendary Gift was third. Maybe Nostalgia for fourth.
Becky's Tattoo sticking to the inside for the 4th win of her career, trained by Michael Hewitt.
So a horse that primarily had run on the turf, but had run reasonably well in some dirt races, showed speed in a 5-furlong race before collapsing, rode that rail up to victory. The race was obviously changed when the favorite, the number 9, Catechism, who figured to be the speed, didn't get out of the gate. Once that horse doesn't get out of the gate, has no chance, the race gets changed. But nice ride by Chelsea Bailey coming up the rail with Becky's Tattoo.
4 for 7 now on fast dirt surfaces for Becky's Tattoo. Jerome Stakes. It is up next on the road to this year's Kentucky Derby. And that's the one to beat. Arctic Arrogance just missed in the grade 2 Remsen. We'll try and pick up some more Derby points here in the Jerome under Jose Lezcano. We'll have the post parade coming up.
And obligatory goes by the coming to the finish, and it's got to be Clairiere. Nest, much the best. She won by better than 10 lengths. Cody's Wish on the outside. Cody's Wish with the upset in the Fargo. Malathon grabs the lead in deep stretch, and Malathon has won the Personal Ensign Stakes.
Curling, the classic sire.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
It's a domineering display by the ultra-talented McKenzie. McKenzie in a dominant performance.
300 Wanda, 300,000. 275, medium 275,000. 75, but to get 75, 275,000. 250 on Ralph now, 250,000. Able to get $200,000.
Downs has a rich thoroughbred horse racing history in Florida dating back to 1926. Celebrities such as Babe Ruth, Jack Dempsey, and John Ringling all attended opening day. Saturday, January 14th is Skyway Festival Day. Watch talented 3-year-olds compete in 2 $125,000 stakes races, the Pasco for Colts and Geldings and the Gasparilla for fillies. Featuring full fields, great turf track racing, and a 15% takeout on RPIC 5, Tampa Bay Downs has live racing every Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
And Fusaichi Pegasus has taken over the lead. Fusaichi Pegasus in front. Albert the Great on the inside in second. El Corredor, the California Invader, moving up on the outside. They're inside the 16th pole. Fusaichi Pegasus by a length. El Corredor. Fusaichi Pegasus returns to the races with a win in the Jerome Mile.
Fupig, Kentucky Derby winner. This was in September of that 3-year-old campaign. Would go on to the Classic as the favorite. Would get beat in that race. Unfortunately, that was the final start of his career.
Like a drum. That was a great race, Tisnow and Giants Causeway. That was an amazing Jerome. That was his first race, actually, since the Preakness. The second place finisher, El Corredor, a very good horse in California for Bob Baffert. Third finisher in there, Albert the Great. He won the Jockey Club by 10 lengths as a 3-year-old in his next start. And the Hook and Ladder, that our boy the Mig rode, finished 4th.
Yeah, this is actually Kentucky Derby winners to win the Jerome because at this time on this list, the Jerome came after the Kentucky Derby, as well as with Fusaichi Pegasus. And now for Fupig, that's the biggest figure he ever ran. 115 buyer in that race we just showed you.
That was a super field. I mean, that was the great. The Jerome was a grade 1 at that point. It shows how things have changed. There have been some great runnings. One of my favorite horses won that race. A Fleet won it back in the late 80s.
This year's edition, Derby points on the line, and the 7-5 favorite, Arctic Arrogance, who just missed in the Remsen against WNL for Linda Rice. Let's head downstairs to Maggie.
Yeah, we'll start with him, Greg. He is one of 4 New York breds in here, but the fact of the matter is he is the one that has run fastest of any of his counterparts in here today in this Jerome for these newly turned 3-year-olds. And taking a look at him, Linda Rice said that she opted to run him here straight off the back of that runner-up performance in the Remsen because he is a bit of a quote-unquote stuffier horse, meaning that he is one that really gets into his feed tub and does need quite a bit of training. So you got to mitigate that by running them often. And I do think that the mile is the perfect distance for him. And if anything, this is the strongest, the fittest he's looked, and his coat, despite it being mid of winter, has gone the right way, whereas in the fall it kind of looked long and wispy and a bit dull, and it's kind of turned around. Now, I know, and Andy's right by saying that this is the start to see if he'll rate, to see if he'll sit off the pace, because there does feel as though there's some speed to his inside. but I don't know. He's awfully sharp here in the paddock. I mean, his poor groom is probably white-knuckled on the shank because he is just been tugging him around, so indicating to me that he is yet again going to be forward. Now we'll take a look at another New York bred coming in the back off the back of, there we go, of a win first time out. Number 1, Neural Network. I was not in the paddock for that dominant performance in beating a next time out winner in Drake's Passage, who albeit did come back to only run a 68. But this guy, he's almost a carbon copy of his sire, Cloud Computing. Very elegantly built 3-year-old, has a lot of scope to him, and everything about that first race and everything about him, looking at him from the physical sense today, says the longer the better. He's extremely fit for this race. He's going to be the one that benefits from anything heating up on the front end and picking up the proverbial pieces. I think he's a strong contender here, and I was interested quite a bit in the Kentucky Invader, number 4, Lugan Knight, given his last race behind a horse that really feels to have some talent in victory formation, who won the Smarty Jones back on the 1st of January. But as his trainer, Mark McCarthy, has said, he's a little dubious of how far he ultimately wants to go. So keeping him around a 1 turn at this mile makes sense, but we might be pushing his limits here. He might be able to get it, but he's small, he's typey, he's every bit of a sprinter frame, and he's fairly keen in here. So look for him to be forward with the stretch out and distance. And I think he's faced some tough rivals, but we'll see if that mile proves to be just a bit too far for him. Greg?
Maggie, thanks. Son of Cloud Computing for Chad Brown. Chad Brown, of course, won the Preakness with Cloud Computing, first classic victory. And we'll see if this horse can get it done in Stakes Company in his first test against winners.
If a Cloud Computing makes the Triple Crown races, it would be fitting for it to be a Klarovich-owned and Chad Brown-trained horse, considering they had Cloud Computing. And Chad already had that decent turf horse that won at Saratoga, finished second in our Pilgrim, and then ran the Breeders' Cup turf race. But Neural Network can take advantage if there's a hot pace. He ran well enough, but he'll have to improve.
Well, let's take a look at that debut. It was a muddy track going 7/8 of a mile, was patient, and just drew off from this field.
Yeah, and it's also worth noting, muddy but harrowed, much like today's track, which is currently listed as good and harrowed. So I don't think there was that much moisture. Probably a very similar track in here. And he showed the ability to rate, and he drew off impressively. The horses he beat came back to run okay. They at least justified the figure that he ran. And for a debut winner who won very fastly, 74 is just fine. He's got to improve off of that number. But given the pace scenario in here, he's supposed to get the right trip. And right now, it doesn't hurt to have the magic touch of Manny Franco.
6-win day yesterday. That equaled an Aqueduct record, Manny. He won with 6 of his 7 mounts. He had won with 3 of his first 4 today, so he'd won with 9 of his last 11 mounts at one point.
And one was an 11-to-1 shot today, and I think the average price yesterday was like $10.
There it is. I mean, just incredible. He joined the likes of Ron Turcotte, Angel Cordero Jr., Steve Cawthon, Mike Smith, Javier Castellano, Dylan Davis did it as well. Those are all the riders to accomplish 6 wins in a day at Aqueduct.
Yeah, and he's averaging just under $12 in his 3 winners today. And obviously, Willie Sutton won him, but he gave him a great ride coming up the rail with him. He's riding extremely well, and you can say he's riding the right horses. He is at the end, but you can't say he has nothing to do with it when they're winning at those prices. And I think any rider would say, well, yeah, if I won with 7 straight 3 to 5 shots, I got on the right horses. When you're winning with horses that are paying square prices, you're doing some things right to getting there, and Manny's doing a lot of things right.
Meanwhile, this is the favorite. Arctic Arrogance deserves to be, and this was his best moment to this point. Start number 4. He's more seasoned, certainly, excuse me, than a horse like Neural Network. Grade 2 Remsen, he battles it out with W. Nell. Those two throw down to the wire.
And one of the things, comments I hate, is when people say he's done nothing wrong. I'm going to say with Arctic Arrogance, he's done a lot right. You know, it's nothing wrong. I don't know what that means. He's doing the right things out there because the races he's lost, like this one, he's run extremely well in there. I don't think the rail was bad this day, but I don't think it was the best place to be. I think you were better off a little outside. I think if you look at that race, there's an argument that if he had drawn outside the other horse and been outside of that one, the result might have been reversed. And when he lost his second start, that race was an odd race that kind of collapsed. I really like this horse. He's running well at all distances. And if he can rate, and listen, he's the favorite, but if he can rate effectively, and I agree with that, he's not going to lead from Andiamo to Firenze unless that horse gets completely left. But he'll be sitting second or third, and he benefits from drawing outside the other speeds. If he rates comfortably, the one's going to have to make a big step forward to beat him.
Here comes our post parade for the Jerome on the road to this year's Kentucky Derby. So here's Neural Network, start number 2 for trainer Chad Brown with his 3-year-old son of Cloud competing.
And the Eclipse nominations were announced today, and both Klarovich Stables and Chad Brown, finalists and owner and trainer.
Folenzen Day, this horse is quick early.
Linda Rice claimed this horse for herself last time off an easy win against Lesser. She's taken a shot.
Michael McCarthy ships over Lugan Knight.
You ignore him at your own risk. Can he stretch out effectively?
Probably the quickest horse in the field here, Andiamo a Firenze.
But you have to worry about distance. He backed up badly in the Champagne.
Arctic Arrogance, 3-2 favorite.
He is the horse to beat, but he's got to show he can rate.
Rider change on General Banker. It's Andre Worry.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with Eric Cancel as he's off some mounts. This horse ran well on a muddy track, winning a $500,000 race last time.
He did. He got an 83 buyer in that win. And then Narciso Dali, Amira Shockley went gate to wire and against Maiden Claiming at Aqueduct.
Got a big figure winning last time out. Not sure if you were allowed to reproduce it, but it was a big enough number to say he's not a ridiculous entry at almost 40-1. And I think we've been a little remiss in not mentioning General Banker even before. Wet track or not, this horse has really improved from speed figures, and two-back was a fast track. And he's improving at the right time for Jimmy Ferraro, and you think the pace is going to be hot. Why can't he take advantage of it?
Meanwhile, here is Michael McCarthy's Lugan Knight. Dylan Davis will ride with more. Let's go to Jonathan.
Yeah, I really like this horse. Andy kind of touched on it a little bit. I think Michael McCarthy does an outstanding job. I know we spend a lot of time in New York covering kind of the East Coast types of races, but Michael McCarthy really excels out on the West Coast. And when he comes to the East Coast, he usually means business. One thing I'll say about Lugan Knight, the big question mark, is the distance. Does this horse want to go this far? Does this horse want to get that extra distance? And having 3 sprints underneath the belt, you got to think there's some foundation there. This horse has tactical speed, should be able to be involved, be forward. And if you look at the way that Lugan Knight runs his races, they're not those backwards or races where it's like they go really fast early and they just kind of slow down, or they are late running sprinters. This horse is just kind of even running style throughout the race. The other thing that I'll mention, though, about Michael McCarthy is throughout the last 5 years, he's had 6 wins out of 23 starts when he is stretching horses out in graded stakes. And what that tells me is he doesn't make he doesn't just do this to be doing it to see if maybe, kind of throw it up against the wall and see if it sticks. He usually has an idea of horses that will be able to handle going further. And we talk all the time about how good Todd Pletcher is with long distance route dirt horses and how many stallions he's created. Michael McCarthy learned under Todd Pletcher, and I think Michael McCarthy has that same club in his bag. I think this horse is going to run extremely well here today. Not positive the horse is going to win, but I don't think the distance is why he'll get beat.
So, yeah, going beyond 6.5 furlongs for the first time for JK, that is not an issue. The stretch out here to Omaha, he makes a nice appearance here at 4-1.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of question marks with him. We'll see if it's a distance thing. I mean, you can't argue with what Jonathan's saying, at least from a pedigree standpoint. He's supposed to get a little more distance. But he's got to show, what he's got to show is he can use the same running style going longer. As it stretches out, his speed puts him more in the game. But listen, in this race where he's finishing third, the winner victory formation comes back with a 91 buyer and a Smarty Jones.
3 for 3.
Right. Obviously, did he have everything his own way? Yeah, but he still improved and ran a 91 buyer. And while the second place finisher came back and lost a stake at a short price, I don't think he badly underperformed in there. He was drifting on the stretch. He got left at his gate about a length or so. So he was compromised and probably was best. The point is he comes out of a very live race, and you can't blame Michael for taking a shot in this race. And you see where you stand. This is when you try to find out. You want to find out early. The earlier you find out if you belong in these kind of races, the earlier you can make your decision when you inevitably don't and get in the right races.
Well, and even, look, whoever wins this race, too, there's still a lot to prove, but you want to stay on that path. That's the important thing.
Exactly. You don't even have to win. If your horse runs well enough to suggest that you should be going forward, or else, you know what? You take a step back and you figure a different route. But the sooner you... The hardest thing, I think, for a lot of people to do, and I'm not just knocking owners, trainers, is say, my horse just isn't good enough for the Triple Crown. Because, listen, you buy these horses, you want to make the Derby. I don't care who you are. You want to get there. And you see Rich Strike win it, you say, why not me? But I think you want to be realistic to a certain point, because at the end of the day, you do the best thing for your horse will do the best thing for you.
Minute to post in the Jerome on the road to this year's Derby. Let's go to Maggie.
Well, picking horses is tough. Another thing that's pretty tough around here is trying to predict how the races are going to unfold. But for me, at least judging the horses, taking riders out of the equation, there's a couple horses in here that are pretty sharp, that got pretty big warm-ups too. And obviously, as I mentioned, Arctic Arrogance, your current 3-2 favorite, he's awfully keen and eager, but also number 4, I feel like there's real intention here with Lugan Knight to get him out and forward because Dylan Davis immediately took him away from the pony. Big gallop to the backside. And this guy is moving really, really well. Like I said, I question, will he come up a bit late here going the 8 furlongs today? But I think there's some intention to get him forward. And does he pose a significant problem to Arctic Arrogance, who might have to choose to run his race differently today? Ultimately, I landed on number 1 in here, Greg, Neural Network, because he just ticked every box for me.
2-1, second choice, Neural Network for Chad Brown-Klarovich with Manny Franco, looking for Manny, his 4th win today after a 6-win Friday.
Poor horse and Manny. They got Maggie and I dragging him down in this race. I hope he doesn't know. What does Manny have in the other 2 races? Oh, he's got Law Professor. I think he has a shot. He's on a monster run.
There's Lugan Knight, Michael McCarthy runner, son of Golden Sense. Everyone trying to keep their Kentucky Derby dreams alive with a big performance early in their 3-year-old campaign here in the Jerome. And we know the path to the Derby here in New York gets interesting. It's only a few months, to that first Saturday of May, but it's a world of time to grow up from here to then as a 3-year-old.
Oh, it's really fun. I think we enjoy the preps, looking at these horses, trying to have opinions, who are the real players, and we'll find out a little bit more today.
So Lugan Knight under Dylan Davis steps in, 3-2 favorite. Arctic Arrogance, the 6. So impressive, even though it was in defeat in that Grade 2 Remsen. That performance makes him the 1 to beat here in this spot. We are set for the Jerome with points on the line to get to that starting gate for this year's Kentucky Derby, the Run for the Roses. Let's go upstairs. Chris Griffin with the call.
All in line. All set for the Jerome. And they're off. Andiamo a Firenze has early speed. Towards the inside is going to be Valenzen Day. Lugan Knight emerges here with the early kick. Then comes Arctic Arrogance out wide. They line up on the front as they get set to come out of the chute. In the Jerome, it's Lugan Knight. Dylan Davis now with a neck in front. Tight hold here, Arctic Arrogance. Down at the inside is Valenzen Day. Breaking on top was Andiamo a Firenze. Is now in between rivals. Got back there to 5th. Up on the outside here, now challenging for 3rd is Narciso Dali. It's a very tight hold. General Banker running up on heels, second to last. And the trailer, Neural Network. They're pretty tightly bunched as they work up the backstretch. It's Lugan Knight who's got the lead, 23.41 for that opening quarter mile. Now more settled here in second is Arctic Arrogance. The favorite is in the 2 path. 3 wide there is Narciso Dali as they've got a half-mile left to go. Down at the rail is Valenzen Day, and Jose Gomez is there with Andiamo a Firenze, who now progresses, splits rivals. Still wide is going to be General Banker. Neural Network has 6 lengths to make up now as in front. It's Lugan Knight, 47.70 seconds for a half-mile time. Arctic Arrogance. Jose Lezcano just took a look back, and Arctic Arrogance is getting ready for the cue as they approach a quarter mile left to go. They are head and head here. Arctic Arrogance is ready to challenge a very game Lugan Knight down towards the inside. Trying to rally on his General Banker, and from the back it's Neural Network, who still has 5 lengths to make up a final furlong, and they are shoulder to shoulder here in the Jerome. Arctic Arrogance did not run by Lugan Knight, who's very game to the inside for a 16th to go. Lugan Knight is still there. Arctic Arrogance couldn't pass. Lugan Knight game and wins the Jerome. It's Lugan Knight over Arctic Arrogance, then General Banker, and Neural Network in 1 minute 37.77 seconds.
Well, repeat of the Remsen for Arctic Arrogance, and this time he had the outside position, but unable to get by Lugan Knight, who digs in for the victory.
Yeah, and I think it's very fair to say that Arctic Arrogance is not maybe his effective rating. But give the credit to Lugan Knight and to Dylan Davis, when, for whatever reason, the connections of Andiamo Firenze decided not to be aggressive with him, Lugan Knight was able to control the race. This is an extraordinarily moderate pace. On paper, they figured to be going faster. They weren't. And Dillon took advantage of that with Lugan Knight. No knock on Jose Lezcano. He was stalking right outside of him. But at the end of the day, given the horse's records, it's not a knock on him to lose to Lugan Knight. But you feel like Arctic Arrogance might not be a horse as comfortable passing horses. But Lugan Knight, he takes the needed step forward here, and onwards and upwards for him.
Lugan Knight, mile not an issue at all. 7-2 here. And I don't know, I sort of got the feeling coming out of the turn that Arctic Arrogance just was not going to go by.
I agree, because it's the kind of thing where you feel like top of the stretch, he's going to kick on a little bit, you know what I mean? And put that distance between them, and it just never got there. And you turned to me around the 8th pole, and you said, he's just not getting by him. You could see it was happening, that the 4 was digging in. But let's give credit to the winner as well, who ran very well in here. And Dylan Davis, who understood, once he saw the 5 wasn't going, I've got the speed in this race. You don't want to go? I'll go. And I don't believe this was Kendrick Carmouche's idea. I can't believe that he decided to rake this horse, the number 5, because he broke on top. I'm almost sure he broke on top.
Yeah.
And suddenly he's like 4th or 5th down the backstretch, and he's a fast horse. And this is not a fast pace. So I guess they decided to see if Andiamo Firenze could rate. I don't know what gave them the idea that he would be better at rating going longer. Whatever the case was, he doesn't want to go longer, and he doesn't want to rate. Neural Network, a disappointment in here, did not run particularly well. But in fairness to him, the pace obviously didn't work out for him as he was far back, but it still was a disappointing effort.
4-6, 7-1, Lugan Knight, your Jerome winner on the road to the Kentucky Derbies. We're back at Oaklawn here. Race 5, just a minute to post. This race, 6 furlongs, 30 maiden claim event. Let's check in with Paul Duca.
Yeah, Greg, I'm with a special guest here, Marshall, who's here on his 32nd or 23rd birthday?
32nd birthday.
You're here with your beautiful wife, who actually you got the winner in the last race, if I'm not mistaken. Tell me how you've been getting these winners.
I've been getting these winners from, he was about 10 years old, and he's guessed every winner so far. So we asked him what number on the last race. He said number 1. We bet 5 to win 100. So we want to thank him a lot.
This is a true story. Now, a 10-year-old kid has picked 4 in a row, but he's gone missing. Hopefully his parents have found him, right? I mean, but you couldn't find him for this race. So who did you end up picking in this race, Mark?
On this race, we picked number 5 because my wife said it. So she knows what she's talking about. So hopefully, let's go again. Let's win, baby.
Okay, here's the deal. I'm going to pick the 10. Whoever finishes first, I can't drink a beer, obviously, but I'll still buy you a beer for your birthday. How's that sound?
That sounds amazing.
You have a wonderful day. 5 against the 10. I do think the 10's got a big shot in here. And Marshall just turned 32, and a 10-year-old kid's giving him tips. I'm going to go look for this kid right now.
Maybe he can get the money for the claim from the kid.
Hottest handicapper in the country right now. 4 in a row. Happy birthday, by the way.
Yeah, happy birthday. I'm betting the 8 Thorn Crown. I think the 8's very interesting in here. Drops down with speed.
First time out, it was on a muddy track at Oaklawn, December 11th for Thorn Crown.
I'm betting that horse to win. Just win, baby.
Co-favorite 6 and 10 here at 7-2 on the board. True Emotion is a first-time starter of the 10 for Ron Moquette. McCracken, 3-year-old filly.
McCracken was an interesting horse who spent a lot of times running longer, and I'm not sure he wouldn't have been better going shorter. Ron has won with some firsters lately, but he's not a trainer that wins with a lot of first-time starters. And Jennifer, a trainer that does very well. Anybody else taking any interesting money here?
Well, another first-timer, 4. Robertino Diodoro, it's a 6. Super Spirit.
First-time starter, maiden claimers in dirt sprints. He's 6 for 27 over the last 5 years, $1.87 ROI, and he's 0 for 4 at Oaklawn with 2 hitting the board, the 2nd and 3rd. But I think Tribal Spirits off the claim, a maiden for Steve Asmussen. Thorn Crown is my kind. This horse has extreme speed, and I thought would be interesting. I looked up some stats and thought this horse might be interesting cutting back.
We have the 1
speed
showed.
Go ahead.
Twirling Tiger showed a little ability, made a move. It was at Louisiana Downs, straight maiden race, and it took money in that race as well.
Yeah, I'm not running to bet horses from Louisiana Downs, but I'm not going to argue with that. It really isn't a lot of form to go on, but I like horses like the 8 that were involved in heavy pace duels that sort of gave it up late, dropping down from a maiden special weight to a maiden claimer. I think that horse will run a lot better. That's really my kind of horse, so I'm going to go with that one. None of the firsters are getting bet that heavily.
I would say that's pretty significant money for Moquett, isn't it, on this?
Yeah. But it's also Ron Moquett, right? He's a big name there. I mean, I'm saying there's nobody that's 2 to 1 or not. I was just saying that. Yes, for overall, that's significant money for a trainer that wins at 10% with his firsters.
And then Wreaking Havoc, the 11th, it's another first-timer, 7 to 1 on a Mastery first-time starter for Brett Calhoun.
Mastery could have been a pretty good horse. He was a good horse, I mean. But
yeah, unfortunately did not get to see enough of him. 5th from Oaklawn.
Did you tell me you were at Turfway when he won?
No, I was not.
You was telling me something. I thought maybe you were telling me something about seeing him.
Animal Kingdom I was.
In
his
really?
Derby prep.
Really? Cool. I've never been to Turfway. I've driven by it. It's right next to the airport.
Vic Stauffer with the calls. The 11 gets set to step in, and Scat Logic were set. Here's the 5th from Oaklawn.
The load is Scat Logic. They're at the post. Scat Logic hasn't loaded yet. She's in. They're at the post. They're off. Thorn Crown stumbled pretty badly. Twirling Tigress shows speed, so does a recovering Thorn Crown. Fancy Hill is close up. In the center goes Fly Condor up the backstretch with Twirling Tigress, the leader. She's a length in front of Thorn Crown and Fly Condor. Then Fancy Hill, a length and a half further back to Scat Logic. Unified Girl is 6th and about 7 off the lead. She's 4 in front of Super Spirit, Tribal Spirit, True Emotion, and Wreaking Havoc. And the trailer is Lovely Joyce. Around the far turn with Twirling Tigress in front. She's a half length in front of Thorn Crown in 2nd. Unified Girl has moved up to 3rd now, and she's about 4 from the front. Outside of her goes Fly Condor. Then comes Lovely Joyce and True Emotion. Tribal Spirit has dropped back, and they run towards the top of the stretch, and the leader is still Twirling Tigress. Twirling Tigress, a half length in front of Thorn Crown in 2nd. Now True Emotion is moving at the rail, and Wreaking Havoc in the center. Twirling Tigress still in front, and now she's 2 lengths in front of Thorn Crown, who's hanging on her left lead. Twirling Tigress now 3 in front. Wreaking Havoc might get into 2nd. Twirling Tigress in front. Twirling Tigress beat Wreaking Havoc. It is close for 3rd between Tribal Spirit, True Emotion, and Thorn Crown.
Well, Class Dropper, she got up poorly in that debut. She took some money that first start. Lasix start number 2, and she gets the win here in this 30 maiden claimer.
Well, I'm still not betting Louisiana Downs horses when they come to Oaklawn, but I missed this one. Want to see the head-on. The announcer claimed the 8 stumbled badly at the start. I have to think that compromised that one, who showed the speed, but Twirling Tigress wires the field. Another horse I couldn't have had.
111 looks like a 7 getting up for 3rd, but Twirling Tigress, Sal Cates, Walter De La Cruz.
Do we know if the 10-year-old had this horse?
I don't believe
10-year-old
Paulie has found him yet. 9 to 1, by the way.
Paulie's looking.
9 to 1 on your winner. We'll have these prices for you when we come back. Late pick 5 next from Oaklawn. Jerome in the books on the road to the Derby and Lugan Night. Might just be a contender for Michael McCarthy. BG Stables under Dylan Davis.
DeMarchelier offers breeders a rare opportunity as the only son of Dubawi standing in Kentucky. Dubawi, one of the world's most celebrated stallions, is now a sire of sires. His top sons at stud are making a name for themselves across the globe. With a picture-perfect pedigree, this son of Dubawi brings one of the world's most potent bloodlines to America. DeMarchelier, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races. It's brought to you where you can play it all on NYRA Bets. Go to NYRABets.com and bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Queens County still to come. Shots from around Queens. There's the Unisphere. I said it earlier in the show, Andy. Did you hear my trivia about Queens?
You said it was the largest borough.
Yes.
Yeah, I heard that.
Did you know that?
I did not know that. Now, what did you call that? The
Unisphere.
I've never heard that term. Is that what it's considered, the Unisphere? I mean, I've passed it a million times, like everybody. It's by Citi Field. It's from the World's Fair, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
There's your Jerome winner, Lugan Knight for BG Stables. Michael McCarthy ships in with intent. And as you said, crafty ride by Dylan Davis. Take advantage when Andiamo friends, they decided not go on with it on the front end. Let's go downstairs to Maggie for more.
Here with Dylan Davis, winning rider aboard Lugan Knight in the Jerome. And Dylan, I watched you warm this horse up, Son of Golden Sense for Mike McCarthy, with aggression. It seemed as though there was intention, but you kind of broke. You didn't have to ask him too much. Felt like they kind of gave you the lead and you inherited it, but he was game.
Sure, Maggie. Well, my instructions were to take away from the pony. Loved his warm-up. He was really nice warm-up. He was moving his body well, and I love what I felt. I knew he was, it looked like it was tough competition for him, but Mike told me, he said, just break well. I can't really tell you what's going to happen out of there, but just let him break well, come out of there, and then you can ride your race from there. He was very comfortable. He broke well. Was able to establish the lead. I didn't break the best, but he was able to establish the lead, get control, and after that, he was very comfortable. I got him to switch off. He was very happy. And he had that challenger on his outside, and he's just looking at him a little bit into the turn, and I still haven't asked. I was loving the way he was going to that turn. Turn for home, I still had plenty of horse. I mean, this horse dug in. His horse was fighting for me. He gave me everything on the track, and I feel like he still had more under him. He was really kind of like playing with this horse, I feel, but he was a big fighter for me, and I was really like my eyes opened up what I saw from what he was doing for me down the lane, and I kept with him, and he was able to put that challenger away, and he ran great. I really liked that.
It seemed as though he took to this racetrack really well. Mike McCarthy saying that in his last start, kind of running in stops and starts, and today he was just fluid from start to finish. Seems as though he got a hold of this Aqueduct Strip very well.
You know, I really thought that it was going to be the mile that really did it. You know, it feels like, you know, he's got real good speed with the sprints, but he kind of looks like he gets a little lost and confused being mid-pack or whichever, and you know, he can't really get in a comfortable spot. I mean, he came in a comfortable spot for me across that chute, and he really took to the mile nicely.
Of course, Mike brought him in here well prepared and perfectly guided to victory by you. Congrats, Dylan.
Thank you, Maggie.
All right, Lugan Knight puts himself on the Derby trail with this win in the Jerome. Greg?
He does indeed, and that's got to feel real good for Dylan Davis, who not that long ago just won the first Grouper Grade 1 win of his career when he won for Christophe Clement out of the country. Ended this year as the leading rider in terms of wins on the New York circuit. And he really took a huge move forward ever since that injury, but certainly last year. He's looking forward to take that next step this year.
And I think this race is a good indicator of one of the things that has moved forward for Dylan. I think a criticism of him in the past, he's always a fundamentally good rider. He was not as aggressive as he could have been. And I know Richie, who spent a lot of time working with him and talking to him, and that was one thing that frustrated him, especially because Richie was a very aggressive rider as well. He's gotten more aggressive. In situations like this, he's seizing the bull by the horns, realizing he has an opportunity to ride that way, and he's been doing that a lot more, and I think it's played well for him.
Horse dug in for him, too. And meanwhile, for Arctic Arrogance, got to be a little bit concerned now with back-to-backs. Even though he's run very well, unable to get by horses in both those races.
I agree. Now, you may want to say the 4 ran well. The inside has been a good place to be this year, today, but it does feel like he hung a little bit, and you wonder if he's just a better horse controlling on the front end, especially going longer.
Queens County next here from Aqueduct. Law Professor, the 70s, the even money favorite for Rob Atras, coming out of back-to-back Grade 1s, including a Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. Stay with us.
Whatever you use to predict future stallion success, breathe slowly and gaze at the desert's first great championship race. Curlin won it. So did Street Cry, Arrogate, and now, in a time even faster than Arrogate's, Mystic Guide. The cold hard fact is, after this, he was rated the best horse in the world. Mystic Guide, new to Darley.
You don't have to be a multi-millionaire to get into this game. You can have a few $1,000s and have fun with it. But with the bonds, you're actually going to win. I've had the opportunity to win multiple races. In fact, this year I won 2 times in one day, which is almost unheard of to be able to do. This is going to happen with them. You will get into the winner's circle in Saratoga. You will walk that horse in, and you will stand there and look at the crowd, and the bonds will take you there and get you into that winner's circle. And it won't cost you a lot of money.
Consistently versatile with 25 Grade 1 winners on every surface from 6 furlongs to 1 1/4 miles all over the world.
Switzerland in the Dubai Golden Shaheen. Switzerland wins.
Churls Fight running on. Mason in front. Churls Fight on the outside. At the wire. Photo for the win.
Olympiad gets the gold in the Jockey Club Gold Cup.
All purpose, all places, all power. Speightstown.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Day at the races, as we are always proud to be brought to you by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, check out americasbestracing.net today. I'm Maggie Wolfendale here in the paddock for the rescheduled Queens County from last week, and we just kind of had a switcheroo for trainer Butch Reed deciding not to ship Riding with Biden for this one, as he actually won the stake at Parks this Wednesday, but he will run the newly turned four-year-old Eloquist in here. But while your 2 current kind of logical horses in Law Professor and even number 2 Unbridled Bomber look the part in here, really no problems with either of them, I'm going to go a little off the wall here and take a look at some bigger priced horses. Let's take a look at the New York bred. That's number 3 Seafoam in here, and he's getting back out to a distance in this 1 1/8 that I think he prefers. Obviously, it's where the most of his success has come. And 2, he's inside. So there are faster horses in here, arguably, and Thomas Shelby, for instance, but at least he's down on the inside, so he can kind of maybe push them to go a bit faster, or at least just secure that position going forward. He looks superb here from Michelle Giangiulio. Just really well turned out. Excellent coat to him, good energy from this now 8-year-old, and I think he kind of almost ran better maybe than his last race, which just going a distance where he doesn't necessarily love, and it was won on the front end by What Do You Think Now? So I think Seafoam deserves a look in here, as we'll also take a look at a horse that is a huge price right now, but one that my eye just kept going back to, and that's number 5 Naval Aviator. Last time he was kind of inside early, and then he tipped out and he ran on a bit to make up a little bit of ground, but it felt like that day, going back through Andy Sterling's track trend notes, that it was a point where they had sealed the track and it was just better off to be forward, to be up front. And that's exactly what Eloquist was, and Barise sat right off of him. So the effort may have been a little bit better than it looks, and he looks phenomenal. I mean, he might be the best turned out horse here in the paddock. We'll see if that has any bearing on his performance in this Queens County. But let's take a look at Bourbonic, scene of his biggest victory in the Wood Memorial 2 years ago, as he's second off the layoff. Now, it was flattered when Milton the Monster came back to run a 91, improving his buyer in his last start, but 7 furlongs is much too short for the often slow away Bourbonic, and he is so much more tucked up. I liked his appearance last time, but it was evident that Todd Pletcher and his team were giving this horse the proverbial race. I think he improves off of that here, and it's a vote of confidence, I'd say, Greg, that he's in this Queens County.
We'll see if he can step up. I mean, obviously that Wood Memorial for him was sensational when he closed from the clouds. He's not been able to reproduce that race since.
Yeah, and I think this may be a tougher race that he's in. I'm surprised Law Professor is that much of a heavy favorite. And I even think the horses inside of him, the 5 and 6, are both too big a price. Maggie talking about Naval Aviator. I agree. He should be a much shorter price. And I like Unbridled Bomber anyway.
Here's the 2, Unbridled Bomber. Yeah, he's trying to win 3 in a row.
His race 2 back, he had a great trip. Last time out, he was just better than these horses. He is really improving.
Seafoam, 8-year-old Michelle Giangiulio.
Have to think he's going to be forward in this race.
Sugar Ray 2 for JT Service.
Yeah, he's actually got that big fig 2 back. Overall, though, tough to see him winning in a race like this.
32-1 Naval Aviator.
Maggie was talking about my track trends, and I agree. This horse was compromised last time, and this is an outfit that's going to get some attention for whatever it's worth. And their horses have run when they've shipped to New York.
Lynn Cash with a couple of runners in here. The 6, one of them, Plot the Dots.
Listen, with Lynn Cash horse has 2 big figs. I think this horse is a way too big a price in here.
Even money favorite went by. Here's the 8 Eloquist for Butch Reed, who's won 3 in a row.
Yeah, but he benefited from the racetrack last time, and it's impossible for him to see the lead in this race. I don't think he's good enough.
Wood winner from 2 years ago went by. Bourbonic Thomas Shelby at 18-1.
Yeah, he figures to be speed in here, but I don't know if he's good enough.
And Double Crown, this horse just won the Kelso, beating Baby Yoda 3 starts ago. He's 36-1.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure why he's this big a price. I'm not saying I like him, and you and I were talking off camera, but he's run fast enough. I think there's horses getting lost in this race a little bit, and he may be one of them, though I think the 5 and 6 are also getting lost. Interesting race, but Law Professor's the one to beat. But I do think Unbridled Bomber is going to be dangerous.
Well, let's look at the one to beat, and yeah, just based on who he's faced. I mean, he was in the Breeders' Cup 3rd Mile. Prior to that, he was second to Life is Good in the Grade 1 Woodward. In a sloppy track, Belmont at Aqueduct when he ran second.
Yeah, listen, he's obviously not going to beat Life is Good. He's run just against very good horses, and he's run well. Rob Atch's horses have been running extremely well lately. It's hard to say, you can say, oh, well, it's a wet track. Baloney. He ran just as well, though, in a lot of ways as he did in the dirt mile. He's in good form. He's very, very logical in here, and he'll be more forward than Unbridled Bomber, who does not have a lot of speed.
So 6-5 right now. Talk about class drop. I mean, that is big time, who he's faced the last couple of starts. But, as you mentioned, and there's Manny Franco, again, looking for number 4 this afternoon. Unbridled Bomber, his last 2 starts, both those races, if he can repeat either of those, he's going to be tough to beat.
I totally agree. I think he's run well in those races, and he's really turned the corner. His race 2 back, he was somewhat fortunate. It was a fast pace, and it was a track that was very conducive to outside closers. So you thought maybe he's vulnerable the next time. He gets in the 6-horse field, there's no speed, and he ran the exact same buyer figure and trounced the field. He may be a horse, and my friend David Aragona has been on this horse early last year, liked him in Jerome. He may not have gotten it right then, but he was onto something with Unbridled Bomber and saw something in him that just took a while for it to show. It's starting to show, and in a division that at this point, Greg, I think you have to think is pretty wide open. A big performance here, anybody really, he could be a horse that steps forward. We see him in some tougher races as the year progresses.
Minute to post coming up. Let's go to Jonathan.
Yeah, Wolfie, this is one of those races where if you look at enough racing, you'll kind of recognize one of these where it's kind of a big field. There's a lot of kind of interesting ideas. It seems a little bit wide open. And there's a horse that's the favorite, the 7 Law Professor, that you think, oh, that horse will probably win. But I feel like there's too much going on in here. I have to look elsewhere. And then the short price favorite just wins. I feel like that's probably going to happen here with Law Professor winning. But I still just have too much of an idea with the 9 Bourbonic. I had to at least talk about this horse. I'm also going to pick Bourbonic. I remember kind of laughing last time when Bourbonic showed up, taking all that money and thinking he's never going to win that 7 furlong race. It's obviously a prep race for something moving forward. He does want to go a little bit further. My biggest concern with him is that he's just such a late closer. He needs everything to kind of go his way. And I typically don't like deep closers on the dirt because they do need things to go their way. I think the price is fair enough on Bourbonic, and I do think that he will actually get that pace that he needs to close into because there's a handful of horses in here that do have some early speed, and one of them, my friend Maggie Wolfendale wants to talk about, the 8 Eloquist. I'm just a little bit curious where Maggie went for vacation. I didn't get to go.
JK, I went on an unbelievable trip to Morocco with the Morleys, with my husband's family. All the kids got to play together, all the cousins, and it was just perfect weather, just a beautiful trip. So pleased to be back here at the races. As always, I did feel a little rusty coming off the near 3-week layoff, to say the least. But one thing that we know, or that we've watched here today, is that it does feel as though it might be a little bit difficult to make up ground on this track. So I opted for a horse that should be forward in Seafoam. And while Law Professor, he just didn't wow me for even money. So do I take Unbridled Bomber? Like I said, is he going to be able to overcome the way the track feels like it's kind of playing today? So let's talk about Eloquist. He's a horse that he was the B for Butch Reed to send here for this Queens County. Now, last time he did get to control on a track that was conducive to that running style. Now, just a quick update, Eric Cancel off his mount after being unseated prior to the start of the 4th race. He did ride that race and finish 2nd, but he went to first aid and therefore has been subsequently taken off the rest of his mount. So Andre Worry picks the mount up here, who he can be an aggressive type of rider. I don't know if he's the fastest of all, you know, with Thomas Shelby in here, but he's a horse that I've noticed when he's actually calm, it leads to a better break and it leads to him getting more forward, because the one time I saw him at Saratoga where he projected to be forward, he didn't, and he got really antsy and wound up on the track. So far, Greg, he's been very calm, so we'll see if this kind of substitute entrant for Butch Reed has any effect in this Queens County.
Well, he's on a roll. He's trying to win his 4th in a row. You would think he needs to move forward quite a bit to contend against the likes of, you know, Unbridled Bomber and Law Professor, but there's something to be said for a horse in good form.
Did you expect there to be this kind of disparity in odds between Law Professor at 4-5 and 7-2 Unbridled? They're not that big a difference in doubles. I think this is crazy, and I think 7-2 Unbridled Bomber is a great price.
Total agreement. But maybe, you know, people see those grade 1s coming out of the Breeders' Cup. 2nd to Life is good.
I get it. I mean, he's the worst to beat, but I don't. Yeah. I think it's supposed to be about 8-5 and 5-2, maybe. Something like that.
I might prefer him anyway.
I prefer Unbridled Bomber. But I try to get the 5 and 6 into 2nd or 3rd. I'm one of them. I'm trying to get them into the number somehow with the logicals.
Dylan Davis on your Jerome winner, trying to go back-to-back here on Unbridled Bomber. That price now is coming down 3-1, and even money on Law Professor. So those two starting to even out a little bit more as we get set to break from the gate.
Queens County, some good horses have won the Queens County of the Year. Personal Flag won this race. The full brother to Personal Ensign.
And still
somewhere the two of them together.
Do you?
Yeah, Buzz Tenney, who was the assistant, Shoubegay, standing in the middle, holding the two of them. I have it back in my apartment somewhere. I love that picture. The late Mike Martin.
That is one to dig out and frame.
Yeah. It's a great picture, yeah.
Even if you like the even money favorite, we talked about some big numbers in this field that have potential certainly to hit the board.
Something going on with the 8 as I see Andre Worry is off of him right now in the gate. Not sure what's going on. Sort of noticeable Cash's King stables, the green with the white crown. No idea.
Won the Discovery last start. Let's try and get an update from Maggie.
Yeah, Greg, we will see number 8 in here, Eloquist, to be a late scratch. As I mentioned prior to going in the gate, he can be an antsy type of horse. He wasn't giving any indication that he was going to be that way prior to this start, but unfortunately he was. You know, it's a great kind of rule that we go by here at NYRA, that if a horse does go up and any portion of their leg or body that above their hock touches the ground, they're a late scratch. So just as we always do, we err on the side of caution. So we do see the tack off Eloquist now.
All right, Maggie, thank you for that update. So Eloquist, we will not get a chance to see him try to go for his 4th straight. So back to the barn. Unfortunate, but always erring on the side of caution. And we'll see Eloquist go at it another day. Right-hand side of your screen, more from Oaklawn, of course, coming up. They're getting set for their late pick 5, by the way, and potentially a very good one we're going to see in this 6th race from Oaklawn. Caw Cab for Brad Cox, who 2nd time out was very impressive with an 86 buyer, winning at a mile and a 16th out of a dam that produced, among others, Gervin.
He's an amazing first-year sire, huh? I got some info on Eric Cancel here. Had some issues with his shoulder, it appears. Seems sore, hoping that he can ride tomorrow, by the way.
Okay. Sorry. So we hope for the best with him. See him moving those numbers over with the 8 being a late scratch. Starting gate crew making quick work of that. Looks like all set, and they will load back up.
Popped his shoulder out. Apparently he's okay, but sore, but he shouldn't be riding.
Such a tough job being a jockey and trying to navigate all these injuries throughout the course of a year.
It's a miracle if you're a jockey and you haven't had massive injuries. And then there's the MIG. When he rode, honestly, I felt like every time somebody said there was an incident in a race, he was like 70% to be involved.
Yeah, unfortunate.
He was such a
lot of big
lucky
injuries.
guy.
That was Butch Reed, Andre Worry with the scratch of Eliquis, so they'll look on with Eliquis back to the barn. Even money back to a short price on Law Professor, 5-2 on Unbridled Bomber. It's the Queens County. Let's go to Chris Griffin for the call.
Double Crown. Double Crown moves forward. All in line, all set for the Queens County. And they're off. Breaking outward there was Double Crown. Also off slowly was Naval Aviator, but breaking quickly was Seafoam, and Seafoam goes right out to the front. Thomas Shelby is going to track right off that pace setter there, a clear 1-2 as they move into the first turn. Then comes Law Professor and Manny Franco. They're in a good position from third. Plot the Dots is in behind horses. At the rail there, Sugar Ray 2. They challenge for that 5th and 6th position. As passing up on the outside comes Double Crown, who is going to be wide as they work to the backstretch. It's another 2 lengths back, mid-pack. Alone there is Naval Aviator. It's another 5 back to Bourbonic, Unbridled Bomber, and Forewarned is the trailer. Pretty strung out here as they work to the backstretch. 23.77 for that opening quarter mile in the Queens County. Seafoam has got the lead. Right to the outside there comes Thomas Shelby, who's tracking from second. 3 wide there is Law Professor, and Law Professor is watching the action, just stalking these pace setters from third as they approach a half mile left to go. Plot the Dots is in fourth. Losing some ground is Double Crown. Splitting rivals here in between horses, Naval Aviator, who runs by Sugar Ray 2. Still a big gap of 5. Unbridled Bomber is starting a rally, but is still 8 off the lead. Bourbonic and Forewarned is far back. Less than a half mile to go. They work into the far turn. It's Seafoam who's in front. Here's the move from Law Professor, who is ranging up on the outside. Thomas Shelby is in between horses. 47.79 was the half. 112.56 for 3/4 of a mile. Quick look back from Manny Franco, and Law Professor is ready to engage the leader, Thomas Shelby, as they approach a quarter mile left to go. Seafoam is losing ground to the inside. Plot the Dots is trying to rally on, but Law Professor is now kicked for home, and it is Law Professor doing it very well. An 1/8 of a mile to go. Law Professor is 3 lengths in front. Thomas Shelby continues to chase from the back. Naval Aviator, late run here from Bourbonic, but there is no catching Law Professor. Law Professor proving much the best, wins the Queens County easily. Law Professor gets the victory. Naval Aviator over Thomas Shelby in a late run from Bourbonic in 1 minute, 51 seconds flat.
Law Professor absolutely dominant here in the Queens County. He wins for the 5th time in his career. Rob Atras, Twin Creeks Racing, and number 4 today for Manny Franco after that 6-win Friday.
And the public was right, making him Abbey favorite. He was a dominating winner, and while Unbridled Bomber made a little close, Bourbonic actually came from behind him to close. Unbridled Bomber did not run his race, but Law Professor, he did. Rob Atras on a good run, this horse in great form. The 5 we mentioned, Naval Aviator, he should never have been 30-1. He got up for second in this race over a horse that ran very, very well in here, Thomas Shelby, because that was a strong pace, and he was never on the rail. But this was a blowout win.
Look at that separation.
Very
coming out of back-to-back grade 1s. A second to life is good, and that class showing up here. But still able to make money in this race with an even money favorite if you had the 5 and 10 underneath, either one of them.
Yeah, I had the exacta for a little bit. I used to try the 5, but played more tries to try to get it in there with the 5 and 6, the 2, 5 and 6.
7, 5, 10, and 9. Bourbonic checking in 4th, but no question about your winner. I mean, this is impressive from Law Professor.
Much
and
the best.
How about 10 wins over the last 2 days for this rider?
Yeah, and I'll tell you something. I actually picked his horse in the last race, for better or for worse. I picked the 10 who scratched, and I got Dame Cinco, and it's Rob Atras again. 6 and 11. I wonder when the last time in New York a rider won, double digits in 2 straight days. It's a pretty strong performance. I wonder if Eric Cancel did it when he won 6 races. Remember he won the 8 straight races to win the title from Kendrick? I wonder how many he run the day before.
7, 5, 10, 9. We'll have these prices coming up in a moment. We're going to get to Oaklawn right now. Late pick 5 began in race number 6. Allowance race, non-winners of 2 life. Start of the late pick 5. It happened moments ago. Again, Cawcab the 5 coming off that impressive maiden score for Brad Cox in start number 2.
Yeah, we'll see what that horse can do, but he obviously looked very, very good last time out, stretching out.
Here's Vic Stauffer.
Sorry.
They're off. B-Sud caught a flyer and goes right to the front. Ben Diesel has asked for speed, and they took hold of B-Sud, so he concedes the lead to both Speed Bias and Ben Diesel. B-Sud's going to sit third. At the rail goes Brooklyn Diamonds, followed by Cawcab, and to the outside, Jolly Tommy, and the early trailer is Bellamy's Roan. So Speed Bias will be the leader to the backstretch, and he's got a 2-length advantage on Ben Diesel. B-Sud is between horses. 10 gauge is 3 deep, and Brooklyn Diamonds is at the rail. Then it's 2.5 back to Cawcab. He's 6th with about 4 lengths to make up. He's a length in front of the Arkansas-bred Bellamy's Roan, and alongside him is Jolly Tommy as they head up the backstretch. Speed Bias uncontested up front, and he rolls by the half-mile pole with a solid 2-length lead on Ben Diesel in second. Then comes 10 gauge and B-Sud. They're right together, third and fourth, and 4 from the front. Cawcab still has 6 lengths to make up. He's a half-length in front of Brooklyn Diamonds. Then Bellamy's Roan and Jolly Tommy 3 furlongs from the money, and it's still Speed Bias. Speed Bias around the far turn, a length and a half in front of Ben Diesel. B-Sud moves through at the rail. He's within 2 of the lead. 10 gauge is 3 deep. He's got a chance. The whip is out on Cawcab. He's going to have to fly from there. He's still 5 behind, top of the stretch, and the leader is still Speed Bias. Speed Bias cuts the corner and leads. He's a length in front of Ben Diesel in second. B-Sud is behind him in third. To the outside in 10 gauge, Speed Bias has the lead. He's 2 lengths in front. B-Sud has moved into second, but Speed Bias is clear as 16th out, and now he is 3 lengths in front. B-Sud and Ben Diesel will battle second and third. It is Speed Bias in front. Speed Bias won by 4.5. B-Sud was second, Ben Diesel third. 10 gauge finished fourth.
Speed Bias spurts away from this field. Ron Moquette, Rafael Bejarano, 4-year-old son of Uncle Mo.
He's got to be a huge price in this race, doesn't he? He's only 6 to 1. Wow, I mean, credit Bejarano for sending this horse to the front. On paper, it's impossible to make him the speed. Wow, if you had this horse, I tip your hat to him. I didn't give opinions before the race, but I guarantee it wouldn't have been Speed Bias.
Prices from that one coming up in the Queens County Law Professor. King of Queens after this performance. Dominant to win the 5th victory of his career for Rob Atras and Manny Franco.
Of racing that he's achieved is extremely rare. Anybody who's witnessed Mitole running sees a level of ability that doesn't come along that often.
Mitole's a monster! Mitole wins the sprint! Oh, what a horse he is! Mitole, he did it again! Wins the mid-mile!
The only thing to be better than one Mitole's a few Mitole's.
The mighty Mitole, who won the Fargo by 3.5 lengths, the new stakes record.
Welcome back. You're watching America's Day at the Races as I'm pleased to be joined with the man of the weekend, post-Queens County victory, Manny Franco, aboard Law Professor, but that wasn't his only win today. It's his fourth winner on this Saturday card, and Manny, you've gone 10 for your last 14 over the last 2 days. When this is happening, our very own Richard Migliori says, it's like everything's happening in slow motion. You see a move before it actually happens. What's it like to be just riding this high right now?
Man, I'm just grateful to be on the right horses. My agent is doing a great job every day. We are, hustling every day, and all you need is the horses. I think when you have the horses, you gotta take the most of them, and that's what I've been doing. I got horses live, and I just try to put it where they're comfortable and make it happen.
That John Panagot, he does work hard for you. I can speak firsthand. But let's talk a little bit about what you just said, Law Professor. You had him in that perfect stalking position. It feels like on this track today, you don't want to be too far out of it. But at the end of the day, he was just so much the best.
Yeah, I rode him like the best horse in the race. I just want to break Sharp and put on the race because Rob told me that he's a horse that needs to be involved. And that's what I did. He helped me a lot because he brought so Sharp. The horse outside cleared me, and I was able to stalk 3 wide. And like I said, I wasn't the best horse. I just sitting out there and enjoying the ride.
You got one more left. We're going to go for a 5th one here?
Let's see. I hope so.
Manny, congratulations. Massive, massive weekend so far.
Thank you, Maggie.
All right, Manny Franco, Law Professor, get the job done in the Queens County in emphatic fashion, much like the Friday and Saturday for this young jockey.
And he's on the appropriate horse in the nightcap to close it out, right? Looking for number 5. He's on Dame Cinco. Give me 5.
He's on Dame Cinco. It's
we'll
nice
see if he can do it.
Nice to see him do it. And he's on a tremendous roll. And I'm glad to hear him give his agent, John Panagot, some credit at the beginning of it. Because Manny's right. I don't care how well you're riding. You've got to be on the right horses to get there. Now, Manny's won on some shorter prices, but he's been averaging about $10. I'm not going to do the math there. And his 10 straight winners. We're trying to find out what the record is for consecutive day wins at NYRA. And given the record is 6. The most it could obviously be is 12, and wouldn't be shocking if Manny's at least tied a record for consecutive days wins. He's on a great run. It's a good room. Manny's as good as any rider around here, and it's nice to see him doing as well as he is. I'm going to assume he had a record year in 2022 for him, and he's starting out 2023 the right way. It is 2023, Greg.
A couple of trainers learned that the hard way after their claims were avoided.
So we've heard.
That's tough. Law Professor, $4.20 for the dominant victory in here. By the way, that Exacto went away too quick for me to tell you what it was.
It was. I know it was 22 for $1, so it was 44 or $45.
Thank you. There it is. 22.60 for $1.
So 45.20. Did that math quickly. Thomas Shelby ran very well in there.
He did. All right, here we go. Nightcap, 7/8 of a mile, entry level allowance. And Funny How is on a roll for Ray Handel. Is going to have the rail. Well, Kate Davis will ride. Has won 3 straight. The figure, though, in that last win was next level for this horse.
No, clearly moved forward, and Ray had a terrific year in 2022 as well, and it's getting a lot of people's attention, I think. He's given Katie Davis a chance on this horse, and obviously runs back to that figure and be tough to beat. The question is Yo Cuz. Who is Yo Cuz? Because when she was running those big figures last year, she was having a lot of things go her own way, and then things sort of went wrong for her. But the Mott Barn has been on an extremely good run. 3 wins with first-time starters in the last week or so of racing.
Horses making their way to the paddock, going to close out the card with a 7/8 of a mile first allowance condition race here in the 10th at Aqueduct. Much more to come from Oaklawn as well. Stick with us. We'll be back with the finale here in New York.
This season at Oaklawn, we've got more of everything. More of the top thoroughbreds in the world. More days of live racing. And the largest purses in our history. All at a completely reimagined Oaklawn. Come be a part of this historic season at Arkansas's only casino resort.
Adelphi Racing Club, offering a truly personal racing experience.
I would just say that it's a smaller, tighter-knit group. Everybody has a common interest. We spend a lot more time together than some of the bigger operations, and I very much enjoy that.
We're not just a syndicate, and our members aren't just investors. We are partners. Contact us to get a taste of the Adelphi racing experience, and let's win races together.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Now more than ever, it's time to get with the program. When shopping for your next race prospect, consider that New York breds start with an advantage. Our New York breds run for serious green. At Saratoga Race Meet, New York bred maidens run for up to $88,000. New York bred allowance horses run for up to $100,000. And New York bred owners can collect awards of up to $20,000 per horse per race. So get back with the program. Seriously.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races on our FS2 coverage. Regional networks out in Southern California as well. It's brought to you in part by the champion sprinter Run Happy. Never lost in his career while sprinting, and now standing a legendary stall #1 at Claiborne Farm. Nightcap here in New York. This filly has been on quite a roll. 3 consecutive wins, all at Aqueduct, 2 at the Belmont at Aqueduct meet. But that last start, figure-wise, jumped into another stratosphere.
No, I agree. I mean, you look at the last 3 races from a Beyer speed figure standpoint, 69, 73, and then 85. All perfect trips, but all wins. And I think the one thing, though, and she is improving, she has gotten great trips in all her races, but the rail has been a good place to be today, so drawing the inside is not going to hurt her chances. And I don't care that Katie Davis is riding her. No, I don't think Katie would tell you she's a better rider than Joelle Rosario, but she's still a good rider, and on the best horse, I'm not worried about it.
5-2 right now. Second choice favorite remains, yeah, the questionable Yokuz, who looked like she was destined to become a star after she reeled off 3 consecutive victories, all stakes wins, and then obviously something went wrong.
Yeah,
the wheels came off for quite a while. She
stumbled last time. You know, well, last time it's impossible to know exactly what happened. I think it's last time. One of those 2 races, the camera, maybe it was 2 back. The camera was screwed up at the start, so you can't tell exactly what happened at the start. When she was good, she was good. But to be fair, I believe it was the Eastview. It was one of those races was run on a very big gold rail, and there were 2 other much faster horses. And I think one got badly left, and the other one, for some reason, they decided to rate the horse. So she had sort of the benefit of very good trips in those races. One of the reasons I tried to beat her in her last couple starts. But she's coming back now. She was entered, I want to say, a few weeks ago, Greg, and scratched. I don't know what the story was for that, but she's back today. She's favored. I don't think she should be favored over Funny How, and I'm going to try to beat them both with Dame Cinco.
Yeah, and if Manny does win there, it should be Dame Once, because that would be 11 this weekend on Dame Cinco. Here's the 11, though. I'm Buzzy.
Why are we showing I'm Buzzy?
5-1. A little interesting.
She should be 50-1.
Really?
Yeah, she has no chance here.
Okay.
She has a perfect trip against a bad field last time to win. She can't compete with these horses.
There's Manny looking
5-1
for his 5th this afternoon.
She's betting for 5-1. She's in good form for Rob. I scratched into her. I really like the 10 Hot Fudge in this race. I never love scratching into horses, and Dame Cinco has run against weaker fields, but she's in good form. She improved off the claim for Rob Atras. Maybe she takes another step forward for a trainer whose horses are running like a house on fire these days. And doesn't hurt to have Manny the way he's riding as well.
Another one who got, you know, a really big improvement figure-wise last time out. Now a slight cutback in distance from 1 mile to 7/8. As we take a look at the 8 in here, Caironi, Mike Maselli.
You know, I'll tell you something about Caironi. I'm not big on these turf dirt things, but this is a horse that the dam was a dirt horse. So, I mean, there is plenty of dirt pedigree. Now, Cairo Prince is a good dirt horse, but he's been a more effective turf sire. And they're taking a shot and trying at the same connections that ran Princess of Sylmore, our friend Eddie Stenko and others. But she does have a pedigree for dirt, and she has a lot of ability on turf, so if she can somehow transfer it, I didn't think she was totally impossible.
Yeah, all 10 starts have come on the lawn for Caironi to this point.
And she's twice the price as the 11. She takes the dirt. She can win.
I disagree.
What is the 11?
I thought the 11 had an outside chance.
I guess if I made a huge spread and I had a strong opinion, I could definitely include her for 4th in my supers, but I don't get her at all.
There's Katie Davis, and she is on a major contender here coming up. Again, Funny How trying to make it 4 straight. I'm intrigued to see if this filly could take another step forward.
The 1?
Yeah.
Well, step forward. Step forward, she'll crush this field. How about running back to that last race? I want to see if she can run that number again because she's got a big figure, and I want to see it. Now, she has had extremely good trips in her races, but drawing the rail, she may fall into one again, but she is a favorite that's coming off of 3 straight perfect trips.
And bundled up, there he is, the man of the weekend, Manny Franco, equaled a track record 6-win Friday. Again, joining the likes of some Hall of Famers like Ron Turcotte, Angel Cordero Jr., Steve Cawthon, Mike Smith, Javier Castellano, and backs it up with 4 more on Saturday. Just incredible.
Yeah, no, he's on quite a run and a chance for 5 here. And I have to imagine 11 would be no worse than tying a record. Hard to believe anybody's won 6 on back-to-back days, you know, when you consider the number, how many times it's been done over such a long period of time, right? Just mathematically.
If I had to venture a guess,
I'd say no. That's what I'm saying.
Ramon Dominguez, the record-setting Saratoga Summer, he may have been
He did
close.
it twice, but not consecutive.
Here's Funny How. So Katie Davis, can it be 4 straight for this filly?
Well, I mean, somebody's got to support the family, right? With Trevor on the sidelines, protecting Trevor, hoping to get back in February. Looking forward to that.
Captain's Daughter, 10-1 Russell Cash trains.
Needs some pace to close into. Not sure she's going to get it.
Here's Yo Cuz. Can she get back to that ability she showed last year?
And I'll tell you, if she does, she's in a position where she could be the controlling speed, which is good on this racetrack.
Jackie Davis going to ride against her sister in here. Blinkers coming off on My Glory.
Yeah, My Glory coming in here from Thistledown, but running out of town would have to improve immeasurably.
Yeah, it's not shown a lot of ability. Firing Carol on occasion has shown some talent.
Okay, I'll give you one, Greg. I would bet you she's 18-1 and the 11 is 7-1. I'll bet you she finishes ahead of the 11.
I like the 7 a little bit.
7 is not impossible.
Not at all.
At least for a smaller piece, a 3rd or 4th, and tries her supers.
Here's Caironi. So first time on dirt.
She's got enough dirt pedigree that I could see throwing her in at a big price. I'd put her 4th.
Shout out to Ed Stanko. Yep. I'm sure he's watching. Dame Cinco, Manny Franco looking for his 11th winner this weekend.
3-1's a little low on this horse, to be honest. Is it the Manny factor at this point? Because she's got to improve to win.
I'm Buzzy, 7-1 Dylan Davis.
I don't get her. You thought she had a shot. I did not.
And that's your field for the nightcap here in New York. Let's head downstairs to Maggie.
Yeah, we'll take a look here at Yo Cuz, who was meant to run about a month ago. As I'm about to, speculate on why she was scratched when Leanna Williford standing right over my cameraman's shoulder. I don't know. In that New York Stallion Series. But she's back here today. Now, she does have a horse. She is a horse at times that has a bit of trouble getting out of the gate. When she gets out of the gate, she shows up. When she doesn't, that's when we see the not so great performances like first time out and her subsequent 2 starts. Now she gets Lasix for this return. When she first walked into the paddock, she was a little bit, kind of meek acting, a little bit girthy when they first tacked her up. But once she got a few rounds after being saddled, she was marching around the paddock. She came out here very keen, ready to go, which I think is a very good sign for her. Now she has done some filling out. She was always just a frame of a horse that looked incredibly unfurnished, but it's good to see her now as a newly turned 4-year-old that she has kind of put some of that muscle mass on that you like to see, and she does look incredibly fit here, despite kind of missing that first start back. And 2, I think being drawn in the 4, where she's not going to have to stand too long in the gate with that kind of split load that we see here in New York, I think is another thing that could lead to a positive result for Yo Cuz. Next, we'll move on to Caironi. She's a complete wild card, and look, she's a big price there on the board. As Andy mentioned, there's dirt pedigree. The second dam, she was a stakes winner sprinting on the dirt, but if I go by my my rules, if you will, of what turf horses look like, she looks like a turf horse. She has a very flat hoof to her, very angular pastern. She looks great in here. She is another one that was entered for the dirt going back to December and scratched in a I don't want to say a much tougher spot, but a little bit of a tougher spot. So we'll see how she does. But again, big price on a horse that looks like she's doing well. I just don't know if this is the right surface, but it's all going to lead me to Dame 5 for Rob Atras. I know you're banking on connections, getting it done one more time here with Manny Franco, looking for his 5th win today. But I like Funny How. I totally respect her, but it just came down to appearances. And for me, Dame 5 on paper made a lot of sense, but on track and in the paddock looked the best to me. Greg?
All right, Maggie, thank you. No, nightcap coming up, and it happens often. You have a hot hand winning race after race after race, and then by the time everyone catches on, it's too late. But that's significant money on the 9. Yeah. Probably too short a price.
She's overbet this
but
race.
Is a contender.
Yeah, she's over. I picked her. I scratched into her, but I picked her. But at 5-2, I would never bet her at this price. I think she's supposed to be. I think the 2 and 4 are both supposed to be shorter than her. I mean, I guess there aren't that many options though after them at this point, and so she's taking a little extra money, but still seems a little bit in the short side.
Well, here's Funny How. So Kate Davis, Ray Handel. Ray giving her an opportunity to try and get a win on a filly who has really been going the right way. Look, each of her last 3 starts, and I had said, can she move forward? You said, could she just repeat that race, which that would be saying something. But yeah. Each of her last 3 races, she has moved forward.
No, she has. I mean, and, listen, Ray, I think Ray had a real breakout year in 2022, and he started capturing a lot more people's attention as well, and that'll get him some more horses, hopefully, and that hopefully can move him up. And he's in my good graces. You missed it when he brought the pizza and the booze up to the...
Where was the pizza from?
Somewhere local. He got the Anthony Stabile seal of approval.
It did, okay.
There's no better seal of approval than that. So that was, right away, he looked where it was from and he approved. That was the key. It was very good.
I'm sorry I missed that.
Yeah, it was fun. It was not, very nice of Ray as well. For us,
good guy, and yes, proving that he is a very good trainer, and we talk about him, definitely a trainer on the rise. But for those on this circuit that watch day in, day out, they know full well about Ray Handel. See if his filly can make it 4 straight. She breaks from the rail. We're set for the nightcap. Let's go to Chris Griffin.
And they're off. Dame 5's got early speed. Also there, I'm Buzzy. And down towards the inside comes Funny How, who's going to be right in behind the pace setter. As splitting rivals, there is Yo Cuz. Yo Cuz is now ahead in front. It's going to be Dame 5 to track from 2nd. I'm Buzzy is out wider in 3rd. At the rail is Funny How. In between horses, they're losing some ground. There's Kyroni, who's now going to settle in mid-pack, followed by Captain's Daughter in the pink cap. The 2 at the back, Firing Carol. My Glory at the back end of the field. 23.19 for that opening quarter mile. They've got less than 4 furlongs to go now. It is Yo Cuz who's got the lead. Jose Lezcano and Yo Cuz, they're in front. Up on the outside is Dame 5 is right there from 2nd. I'm Buzzy to the outside of Funny How. Then comes a full drive here for Captain's Daughter, who's from 5th. Losing some ground was Kyroni from the back. A rally from Firing Carol starts to move closer, is now within 3.5 of the lead, and My Glory continues to trail. 46.80 for that half-mile time. They approach a quarter mile left to go. Dame 5 now gets the cue, is ahead in front. It's Dame 5 down towards the inside. Yo Cuz. Captain's Daughter is ranging up on the outside, and here comes Captain's Daughter. Dame 5 is very game. Down to the inside here is Funny How. Captain's Daughter is ranging up. Dame 5 still in between horses, is still in front. Here up on the far outside, I'm Buzzy with a late rally. It's still Dame 5 who's got the lead. Funny How is lunging here at the line. It's going to be a photo finish. Tight photo here. Funny How with a good bob to the inside of Dame 5. Further back in the field, another photo. I'm Buzzy was there with Captain's Daughter in 1 minute 25.31 seconds.
Manny Franco making a huge run at a 5-win Saturday after that 6-win Friday. May have come up just short to Funny How.
Felt like he got the bob but he still might have come up short, and can't really blame Manny. It really felt like the horse was drifting on him in the stretch, getting a little tired, and the fact that she was drifting enabled the one to get her at the wire. But hey, let's give Katie Davis a lot of credit. Did absolutely nothing wrong in the number one in this race. The horse broke a step slow, maybe, not necessarily her fault, and she just kept her in good position, and as the 9 drifted, she came through down the inside, and it just felt like she just nipped the 9. Yeah, and it's up there. It's
posted.
1-9. The 11 finished 4th, so
1-9.
was the right 4th choice.
1-9-3-11. What an effort, though, from Manny Franco to come up just short on what would have been 11 wins over the last 2 days.
No, I agree. Obviously, a lot of things go well, but, you know, now I can come back and say I can't get a break. Can't believe I lost that photo, but I'm just happy that Katie's working so Trevor can eat. You know, I'm just happy that somebody's supporting Trevor, my good friend.
Well, we miss him. We can't wait to get him back as a very talented rider.
He's going to tell Katie, I know he's going to tell Katie, you did a great move staying on the inside in that race, staying towards the inside, taking advantage of what's been a good inside, though she wasn't right on the rail, and there he is, the man of the hour.
Red jacket, the pizza man, Ray Handel. Sorry I missed it. You got to do it again for us, Ray.
No, that's not going to happen. From what I've heard, it's a one and done with Ray. He's not going to.
He has a very talented filly here. She's won 4 straight, and this final time, we'll see. Figure-wise, may not come back as quick as the last.
No, that
but
last
in the end,
is aberrant. But still,
she just keeps on winning.
That's 4 straight for her. Listen, she's got great trips in all those races, but she is getting it done. And winning 4 straight races, you got to get a little lucky to do that regardless, unless you're that good. And nice win for her, and happy for Katie as well. Tough beat for Manny, but you know what? He's won plenty of races. He'll be fine.
And, you know, when you're making all the right moves, as he is, as she started to drift out, Manny immediately went to the right hand, got her back going the right way.
Yeah, but I think there's no chance that Manny wasn't trying to get her drift. She was drifting on him. There was really, if she had been able to keep a straight path, I think he did everything he could. She was just
no
drifting
question,
on her.
yeah, and he immediately corrected her as he noticed it was going the wrong way. 1-9-3-11, funny how 4 straight. Ray Handel, Adelphi Racing, and Cut Air Racing, and Kate Davis, your winning connections.
And Yo Cuz, very disappointing effort, was able to make the lead. It was a relatively moderate pace. It just doesn't seem like she can really run. She had nothing in here at all, layoff or not. And my Buzzy, 4th. They're right, 4th choice.
Yeah.
Captain's Daughter actually ran pretty well in here.
Earlier you said had no chance.
No, not Captain.
Should have been 50-1.
The 11, yeah, I agree. Should definitely have been 20, not 7. I was right, not 50. I was wrong with the 50. Should have been 20.
7th and over, 6 furlong sprint coming up.
Did lose to an 18-1 shot or something, right?
Condition $30,000 race. In this spot, 7-2 mild favorite with the 11 outside. Whooping Jay. It's been really more of a turf horse. Is a multiple winner though on dirt. Interested to get Paulie's take on this horse, who right now is favored.
Yeah, he's an interesting favorite, Greg, considering when you look at the first 6 races on this race card, we've had 5 horses go gate to wire. We had Chelsea Bailey come up the rail with the 1. So obviously there is a little bit of speed bias, no pun intended, the horse that won the last race, but the rail might be the place to be. So the 10 and 11 here might, you know, have to be much the best in here to get over, because this racetrack is seeming like the rail is where you want to be, and you want to be towards the front end. This race is kind of like really murky in who can get to the front end in here. You look at the 3 up striker on the drop in class, who has shown a little bit of speed. That's the 3 in here. The 11 and the 10, who you mentioned, Greg, Whooping Jay. Now, this horse does have a little bit of speed. You know, does have 2 wins over a fast dirt track, but they haven't been in 2 years or so. So, you know, getting back on the racetrack, you know, Carl Broberg, obviously very, very heady, and this is a cow bred by Square Eddie, and we know those Square Eddies, who was owned obviously by Mr. Redham, who owned I'll Have Another to a Derby victory. I would think that this horse should take to the dirt, but it's really hard for a 7-year-old to go back to the dirt this late in his career. Iberville, Robertino Diodoro looking for another one. You know, Torres lands on this one. This horse has shown speed routing, you know, but, you know, cutting back in distance, I just don't know how far back he's going to be against this racetrack. So, you know, I was looking at the 7 Mojo Man in here, and I go back to his races, and I'm like, man, he can win this race. But I watched his last 2, and he just seemed disinterested. 4 starts ago, this horse was 15 to 1 to Jackie's Warrior and 6 to 1 to Isolate. Now he's 8 years old. I get it. If he can get get to the front end, maybe he can get Brave at 8 to 1 in here. I just think that the 10 and the 11, especially the 10, might be a tiny bit over bet. But whoever gets the front end is going to be tough in here. And I have been feeling that could be the 3. I'll go with the upstriker to 3. I'm going to place a tiny little wager on the 7 Mojo Man. If he gets the wake-up call at 8, because if he runs back to some of those races, he wins this at 8 to 1.
Paulie, thanks. Yeah, that is a big drop for Mojo Man. Allowance optional 62 to condition claiming for 30.
Absolutely. Big drop whatsoever. This is a very tricky race. I don't know. I mean, if the 11 clears, I feel like the 11 can be dangerous, but this really is a turf horse. This is a very, very tricky race in here. Not sure what to do. Stick to the 1, right? They have speed and they do well.
Inside, as Paulie pointed out, been doing extremely well. What does that mean for Whooping J, the 11, Iberville, the 10? Whooping J, 3 for 16 on turf, 2 for 6 on dirt. Primarily, he's been on grass, though, for a long. Last time on dirt was actually June of 21. It's been a long time.
So this race was too tricky for me. I mean, the 11 can win. I don't know. I just thought it was a very, very tough race. A Diodoro Claim inside of him. If you feel like the track has been very speedy, too.
Vic Stoff for the call. Here's race 7.
They're at the post. They're off.
So we lost audio from Vic Stauffer. We'll see if we get him back. It is Whooping J making that switch to dirt, who is alone in front on the lead under Tyler Bays, who just got his first winner of the meet the other day. And second, right behind, Upstriker. It's the 5 to the outside of that one, cost basis.
Shackelford Strong is 4 wide. 1 Mean Jakey stalking in the inside, and Burnin' Hunk of Love coming up. And here comes the 9, Rolling Fork. And outside of him, I'm guessing that's, I don't even know.
Iberville, the 10, yeah, the 7 coming with an outside move there, Mojo Man.
Yep.
And coming out of the turn, it's Upstriker in front with about a 1.25 length lead here, with Mean Jakey giving chase here in second. Rolling up on the outside, here comes the 9. This is Rolling Fork making a big move, looking like he's going best of all to this point. And it's going to come down to the 1, the 9. They are neck and neck. Ooh. And it looks like it's Rolling Fork who gets up for the win. That was tight.
Yeah, Rolling Fork, the Archibred, does appear that probably got it done. I'm guessing at a very big price. Second off a little bit of a freshening. And the 1 Mean Jakey with Keith Asmussen, that would have been the 6th number 1, I believe, to win in today's card. I think that's, someone said to me on Twitter, the one had won 5 races. Wow.
If it is the 9.
Yes. What price?
60 to 1.
And deservingly so. Wow. And it appears, I think that horse got it. What do you think, Greg? They didn't show, we need that slow-mo camera they show, because
right here looks like, yeah, looks like
well, it's
just
a bad angle, though. That's the thing. I mean, we saw they have that slow-mo we were looking at last week, and it looked completely different, because keep in mind, you're looking at it from the back, so it's kind of like,
tilted angle.
You know, the outside horse has an edge, so I don't want to, here it is. Very helpful. Looks great. That was great. Well, from that one, I'm sure the 9 got it.
9 to 1 on the inside with the 1, 60 to 1 outside with the 9 Rolling Fork.
Without looking at the other angle, I don't want to call photos there, because that angle that during the race is incredibly deceptive. But without seeing the other angle.
Yeah. So we'll wait until this is determined by a photo. Rolling Fork, as we mentioned, 60 to 1 on the board, 3 for 20 lifetime record. The man with the best eyes in the business. Let's go to Paul LaDuca.
They just showed the down angle, guys, and it was very, very close, but they just posted the 9 At 60 to 1, the 1 ended up, sort of bobbing his head down, and I think it made it a lot closer. Great job on the jockey in the 1, but he just couldn't hold off the 9 in a giant upset. 60 to 1 in basically a 10-horse field. The next longest shot was 39 to 1, so I hope you had this horse in your pick 5s.
I would venture a guess that very few did. There's a potential that.
Good call.
Oh, how tight is that? And long ways back to the third-place finisher. Coming out of the stretch, it was the 3-up striker who was in front. That horse fades, and it became a 2-horse race. Kim Poole, Kylie Jordan, and Borman Racing by a whisker in a thriller.
That was an exciting race. The 11, the jockey did a great job getting the lead with that horse, but he's not a third horse. He's a turf horse. So he folded there. Boy, that's just a bob away, I believe, from being 6-1s winning today. Somebody on Twitter, I believe, said to me that 5 of 6 have been won by the 1 horse. I don't know for sure if that's true. I should probably look.
Paulie had talked about that as well. Rolling Fork out-dueling Mean Jakey in a photo finish in the 7th at Oaklawn to kick off the pick 4. We'll have the prices for the 60 to 1 shot when we come back.
Eclipse champion Blame, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back with you on America's Day of the Races on FS2, Bally Sports SoCal in San Diego. We're going to be for momentarily anyway, signing off on FS2 for a little bit, and then we'll be rejoined by FS2 later in the program. 4 in a row for this filly. Funny How, trained by Ray Handel. Kate Davis sticking to the inside to get the win.
Nice to see Katie get the win there, and just did everything right. Manny obviously drifting in the stretch, and probably cost Dame Cinco the race. It's the way it goes.
193. Take another look here, and a winning move from Kate Davis.
Yeah, well, she stayed inside as long as she could. She had to go around the tiring Yo Cuz, but able to stick to the inside. And, you know, obviously if Manny hadn't been drifting, and he's trying to, at this point, trying to get the horse to come in a little bit, but she's drifting, but he's still sticking at this point to the left hand. That's just one of those things. They drift a little bit. A lot of horses will drift, and she did it. And probably enabled Funny How to get her, but both ran well. Funny How getting the money. Good ride by Katie.
So $255 return on pretty formful afternoon. Senior Prank Chad Brown, first-time starter to kick it off. War Stopper and Law Professor, obviously, were highly regarded. Lugan Knight was really the tough one in that sequence.
40. What did it pay?
$255.
Not bad. Probably around 800 for about $200. So paid okay. Nothing special, but okay. Very logical. We saw a day full of mostly logical results throughout the card.
All right, we're at Tampa right now. Race 9, some bonus coverage here. Mile on the Turf in this maiden special weight, and 2-1 favorite. Currently, it's at 10 here. Classic Creation 4. John Terranova, Antonio Gallardo, coming off a third-place finish on this course at this level back on December 3rd.
Boy, I got to bouncing around here with this one. Had the chances, but second off that layoff, as you said. Interested to see. Chad Brown has Christophe Clement has a first-time starter. The 3, Bellamy, Flinchier. Flinchier's been a very disappointing sire so far. This one owned and bred by Ghislaine Head, and of course Christophe has a relationship with her, runs some horses. And you've got the Chad Brown runner for Calumet, Fayette Spirit. I don't know why this horse is taking money. This horse did no running at the Meadowlands first time out, but maybe in this field. What about the Rail, first time in the turf for Graham Motion? I didn't look up the pedigrees, but that horse is the kind of horse that interests me a little bit.
6-1, that's Pavoni. Medaglia d'Oro.
I mean,
well, Lasix for start number 2. The debut came on dirt. And it was a productive race.
Yeah, Classic Creation. I'm not so sure what's so enticing about that horse out in the outside, and I'm going to bet a couple dollars on Graham's horse on the Rail.
As I mentioned a moment ago, we're going to have to leave FS2 momentarily. Iowa, Michigan women's basketball is going to begin on the network, and then once Fox frees up, we'll bring it back here with the conclusion of our program. We'll stick on Bally Sports SoCal and San Diego in the meantime and bring you this 9th from Tampa Bay.
You been to Tampa?
One of the tracks I would really love to get to that I've not been to.
Well, you and I should go down there. Enjoy
That'd be
the
fun trip
out there. Have fun. Yeah, I'd like to go. I've heard so many nice things about it.
Would love to do that. All right, again, FS2, Iowa, Michigan women's hoops coming up, and then we'll see you in just a little bit. So here we go with this 9th from Tampa. For those watching on Bally Sports SoCal and San Diego, here on America's Day at the Races. So you're against this Chad Brown run. I thought the horse did a little bit of running.
Did a little bit of running. In this field, relative to these horses, you're absolutely right. This horse did enough running at the Meadowlands. I shouldn't be so hard on this one. But I agree.
5-2, it may be a little short.
You're absolutely right, though. This horse did enough running in that race that I should at least use a little bit in the exacta, right?
Favorite, though, remains the 10. Classic Creation. Plenty of room to get to that first turn. Try and get some position for that horse. Jason Beam with the 9th from Tampa Bay Downs.
E Minor's gone forward. Waiting on Classic Creation, Antonio Gallardo to the outside. Classic Creation, the final one to join. Just about set for a start. Classic Creation coming up, ready to close out day number 24 of the season. They're in the gate. And the race is on. Bellamy came away a step slow. Fayette Spirit in the center. Danube flashing good early speed, and right to that one's outside comes Classic Bourbon. It's Danube and Classic Bourbon into the stretch as they open up a length and a half now. And Classic Creation, who's up into the 3rd position. Fayette Spirit, E Minor, they're 4th and 5th together as a team. It's a break of 3 more then, back to Dynamic Storm and Antonov. And the 2 at the back, Pavoni and Bellamy, as they go into that first turn. And it's Danube the leader. Danube a length and a half in front to Classic Bourbon in 2nd. Length and a half more than back to Fayette Spirit. Classic Creation stays to that one's outside. 23 seconds for a pretty honest opening quarter. As they peel onto the backstretch, Danube is just a neck in front now. Classic Bourbon on the outside, getting closer in second. Classic Creation trying to follow that move. It's coming up in between horses, is now third, but coming up after the leaders to join the front ranks. Fayette Spirit's back in fourth now. Right to that one's outside is E Minor. On the extreme outside, Dynamic Storm races in sixth. Bellamy has made some progress, is seventh now. It's two more back to Antonov and Pavoni at the back. 47-2 for the opening half mile, and Classic Creation could wait no more. Antonio Gallardo sends Classic Creation to the front and quickly opens up 2.5 to Fayette Spirit in second. E Minor's third. Bellamy now up to fourth, still has 5.5 or 6 lengths to find. After that comes Dynamic Storm as they wind around to the top of the stretch, and Classic Creation, a confident looking Antonio Gallardo into the stretch. Classic Creation off the turn in front quickly by 3. On the outside, Fayette Spirit. Bellamy going to try to come through down toward the inside along with E Minor. A final furlong to go, and Classic Creation is clear by 3. Fayette Spirit trying to get to that one in the final 50 yards, but it's Classic Creation well in command here. Impressive win, Classic Creation by 3.5, 4 in the end. Fayette Spirit was second, third went to E Minor, fourth Bellamy, a long way back to fifth, looked like Antonov.
Classic Creation, maiden breaking score, career start number 4, John Terranova, Antonio Gallardo.
Good job by Gallardo getting good position from that outside post, sitting behind the 2 leaders and 2 overmatched leaders, and just drew off a faster winner. Made a mincemeat of this field, frankly.
10-5-9. E Minor rounding out the trifecta for the Tim Ham barn. Prices from that one when we come back. More on the way from Oaklawn on their Saturday afternoon card when we come back. Mile and a 16th, allowance optional 62 claiming race coming up. Brad Cox with Open Road, and there is the 4-year-old son of Quality Road. Big winner, 2 back at Churchill with a 93 buyer. Stay with us.
The Run Happies are hot, hot, hot with his 2-year-olds burning up the track. Recent top runners include this growing list of winners at Churchill Downs. Plus the speedy 2-year-old colt, Happy is a Choice, a 5-length maiden winner at Keeneland.
Happy is a Choice, Francisco Arrieta to win it.
Price for value and turning up the heat. Call today and book your mare to Eclipse Champion Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Nairo Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Nairo Bets.
Tampa Bay Downs has a rich thoroughbred horse racing history in Florida dating back to 1926. Celebrities such as Babe Ruth, Jack Dempsey, and John Ringling all attended opening day. Saturday, January 14th is Skyway Festival Day. Watch talented 3-year-olds compete in 2 $125,000 stakes races, the Pasco for Colts and Geldings and the Gasparilla for Fillies. Featuring full fields, great turf track racing, and a 15% takeout on RPIC 5, Tampa Bay Downs has live racing every Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
On June 6, 2019, a new chapter began at Alapa when Hillendale transferred its operations to the famed Kentucky Station and Thoroughbred Nursery in Paris, Kentucky, on a farm that traces its origins to 1827.
All the essential things have been done.
3 years later, owner John Sikora couldn't be more proud.
You know, we're trying to be progressive, thoughtful, and respectful to what's already been here, the intent of the farm, along with trying to become efficient and modern.
The 1,400-acre Alapa is driven by its owner John Sikura's passion to return the landmark farm to its original glory. The extensive restoration includes building a brand new breeding shed out of stone and concrete, matching the training barn that's been converted to be a stallion barn and now houses a roster of world-class stallions. Hillendale also built 8 new barns, plus adding landscaping and building tens of miles of fence, plus adding roads and utilities. Sikura appreciates the daily inspiration the farm gives him.
There's the ruins of an old dairy barn, which is it's like a beautiful relic. It's peaceful and quiet. There's waterfall ponds behind the house, behind the office. There's many unique, peaceful, great parts of the farm that create peace and a sense of understanding where you are and how unique the farm is.
He also enjoys visiting the stallion barn in the evening when it's quiet and peaceful.
The horses are looking outside their stall, looking outside the windows. There's like 4,600 windows in the stallion barn. They can look outside, and it's very, very, very natural, peaceful to them. And when I look at this barn too, I feel all the history and the great horses that were here. Great champions were all raised and broke and trained here.
Sikura is now focused on making new history at Alapa.
When you think of all that living history, it makes you respectful of the barn and who's been housed there, and then also a responsibility of trying to keep that same standard and try to move it forward and be historic in what we do, so that when someone would look back 50 years from now, they have a feeling of obligation for them to do the same here.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races. Good to have you with us. Those watching out on Valley Sports SoCal and San Diego. It's a program brought to you in part by Hillendale at Alapa as we get set for the 8th next at Oaklawn out in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Mile and a 16th, an allowance optional claiming field. And as we went to break, we talked about open road. It was a much shorter price, 7-2 right now on open road.
Yeah, I gotta get back to work here, Greg.
Favorite is Tiz Ride Time on the rail. Talked about how good the rail has been. Public's catching on.
I guess they're throwing out the sloppy track race last time out, right? Looking at the prior 2 figures, which were pretty strong with him. But this is a tough field. I mean, Keystone Field is coming into the race, some good efforts. You mentioned Open Road, though he was disappointing on Breeders' Cup Friday. Captain Bombastic trying to go long in here. Silver Dust, who used to be a pretty good stakes horse. It's an interesting field. I like the 3 and 5. 3-5-1, I picked it.
You got a horse like Great Escape as well for Robertino Diodoro. Had his 3,000th victory earlier today. Grade 3 winner north of the border. Here's the one. So here's our current favorite, Tiz Ride Time.
I'm worried about this horse's lack of speed. It's tough to take a short price on a horse that could well be coming from dead last.
Calibrate next door, 16-1, Cody Rosentrains.
Coming off a win at Hawthorne, but he'd probably have to improve off that effort to get it done.
Got an 83 buyer in that win, but yeah, it was Hawthorne. Keystone Field, I'm with you. Some very sharp form in this horse. Back-to-back wins and then second beat a neck.
And he's not exactly a speed, but I think you'll see him be more forwardly placed in this race.
Let's see if we get here he is, Isaac Castillo for Mike Maker. 6-time winner of over 400,000 in his career. Great Escape. Here's the Diodoro runner.
He seems a little dressed up by that big fig last time in the Zia Bart Derby. His other races a little be desired as he was participating in the Canadian and Manitoba Derby. It's a tough double.
Yeah, here he is, 7-1. And Christian Torres will be aboard the Son of Midnight Storm. Here's the 5 open road. So Brad Cox, and this was the morning line favorite.
I thought he was disappointing last time out and should have been better, but he didn't run badly. Obviously, can win.
Spankster for the coach, Dwayne Lucas.
Feels like the speed, doesn't he? Do you give this horse a little bit of a shot just as trying to go to the lead in here and maybe wire the field stretching out? I thought that made him a little interesting here. And that mile race he's got is fast enough to be close. I think he's a little interesting at a price if you're looking for a price.
86 buyer in that mile win. Yeah. Captain Bombastic at 4-1 taking support for Steve Asmussen with Ricardo Santana Jr.
I think mile 16, 2 turns is a little far for his best. I think he's a better 1-turn type, and a horse who hasn't run now in 6 months either. For a barn that does not, Oaklawn stretching out in dirt routes, 4 for 42 over the last 5 years.
Face some good company, though.
Yeah, for sure, but I don't like the spot.
Silver Dust, the old warrior, the 9-year-old's a 4-time graded stakes winner.
Listen, there was once a Silver Dust that would be very tough in here. I don't think that's the same Silver Dust that's running today, though.
And bye-bye Bobby. Todd Fincher trains. Nick Juarez rides. 4th in that Zia Park Derby behind Great Escape.
Yeah, his post is not going to do him any favors in here. You know, when you think about how well horses have been doing running the inside, that worries me, especially for a horse that might just be a cut below. Nick Juarez, who's had a great start of the meet, being represented by Gary Stevens.
How about that? 4 minutes away, and Paul, Open Road, Public, little cool on the Brad Cox runner right now.
Yeah, a little cool on the Brad Cox runner. You know, he's had a couple here in the last couple of days that, you know, been bet down that have not run, and not in this kind of shape. You know, earlier, obviously, he had a horse that was bet down that did not run well. But, you know, he's got one shot in here with Open Road, and, you know, he's a really, really tough read in here. You know, Brad's horses that have come in here, they've either been very, very dynamic or they got beaten at short odds like they did yesterday. So when you look at Open Road, you know, this horse, he was behind B-Doc, decent type of horse, Happy Jack. Now, he did beat Tiz Rye Time. That's the most confusing price on this board right now, because this horse comes from the clouds. And if the one comes from the clouds, he better stick to the rail, because if he gets fanned out wide, he's going to be on the treadmill like everybody else has been at this racetrack. The 3 Keystone Field, wow, he turned out so unbelievably. He looked unreal on the racetrack. Now, he does have a race here. He's very, very sharp. Is he stepping up in class near? Maybe a little bit. You get Isaac Castillo. There's just no stats. Isaac Castillo, I couldn't find as ridden horse for Michael Maker, so I thought that was very interesting as well. And along with Andy, I think Spankster's got a big shot in here, because the way this racetrack's been playing, this is a horse that has been 21-1 and 44-2, right up on the pace. You know, if they take Spankster for granted and David Cabrera is able to relax down the backside, I just think he's faster than the 4 Great Escape, and I think that's why the 4 is an overlay right now. So I'll take a little bit of a shot with the 6 here, Spankster from Gate to Wire.
I'm getting worried for either or both Paulie and I that we're thinking alike a lot of races. And I think one thing you be confident with Wayne Lukas. I don't think there's a trainer out there that values speed more than Wayne Lukas. As Todd Pletcher said to me many years ago, we were talking about a speed horse that had kept being rated in his races. And Todd said, you know, Wayne Lukas made a lot of money sending speed horses to the lead. And sometimes people overcomplicate the game. And Wayne Lukas, one thing about him, he values speed in American dirt racing, much like Bob Baffert does.
Done pretty well with that formula.
Well, you know, I think, you know, when you look at some of Bob Baffert's successes, one thing, he's never had to fear to be wrong going to lead. You think about West Coast wiring the Travers.
Yeah.
You think about Arrogate wiring the Travers. These were not speed horses, but Bob saw a situation where he felt it was best for his horse to be in front. And you can't succeed at anything by being afraid. And one thing that he understands is the value of speed in dirt racing to the extreme.
We'll see if Spankster, the 6 for the coach, is the one who's able to get in front here. 8-1 right now. Meanwhile, favorite has become the 3 Keystone Field. Mike Maker, Isaac Castillo. And we're going to take a look. Sorry, we're going to look at Open Road in here for Brad Cox. This was back on October 1st. And this was his win against Allowance Company off a layoff when he earned the biggest figure of his career.
But he beat a horse in strong quality for Mark Cassidy, who has run some reasonably good figures, as he did in this race, but has failed in, I think, 3 or 4 straight races in relatively close contests. So he beat a horse that just doesn't like to get it done in those races. And last time out at Keeneland, he had an absolutely perfect trip, and he got, I believe, caught from behind, and he wasn't able to get by one of the leaders. I thought his last was disappointing, but to be fair, it came back a very good speed figure. So he's run fast races, and he has improved. He's not impossible in here by any stretch. I prefer the 3 and 5 as the logical horses. I prefer the 3 a little over the 5. But I think Spankster, you have to give that horse a look. And at that price, I bet a little bit to win on him.
He's up to 9-1 now. Let's look at the favorite. That's Keystone Field. So this was back on November 12th. And this was a sloppy track in a claiming crown race at Churchill. And he was a winner at almost 7-1.
Yeah, no, he Caught a sloppy track in that race, but he had his big win the time before that in a dry race. And he's run the same figures on wet tracks and dry tracks in all of his last 3 races. He's clearly just coming in this race in terrific form. Mike Maker, I looked up his stats at Oaklawn over the last 5 years. And he's, wait a second, I have this, I think I have something. It says that he's 7 for 45 with a $1.87 ROI. It doesn't feel like he runs a lot of horses at Oaklawn, right, Mike Maker?
Yeah, he really doesn't.
Maybe he's looking to run more now because they have such good purses, but in past years, I just don't feel like Mike's been a guy who's participated as much there. Has a lot of turf horses.
Yeah, see if we can get the win here with Keystone Field. Welcome back to those rejoining us on FS2 or watching the start of that Iowa-Michigan women's basketball game. Good to have you back as we get set for this 8th here at Oaklawn. Greg Wolf, Andy Serling, got Paul LaDuca live in Hot Springs with us as well. And Andy had talked about, for those just joining us who may have missed it, Spankster the 6 for D. Wayne Lucas, the legendary coach. Horse who's likely going to be the one in front, and he does have a race at a mile where he was incredibly effective.
Just another horse. Paulie and I are on the same page with this horse, and we talked about it. They've run 7 races so far. 5 have been won by the one horse. One lost by a nose in the last race. A number of them were horses that were inside speeds. So speed has been a little bit, seemingly, and inside speed has been an advantage there. This horse has to be in front the races he's coming out of here, assuming he doesn't have a problem at the start. And I think he's an interesting horse as an alternative. No knock on the 3 and 5. In this race, I think they're very logical. Keystone Field and Open Road, both running fast races. But take a little bit of a shot at 9 to 1. At least I bet him to win, and I use him in exactas with the 3 and 5, the logical horses. I prefer the 3 a little to 5, though.
Yeah, I like Keystone Field as well. And, you know, that's a lot of money on Tiz Right Time, too, the 1. Said 9 to 2. Keystone Field, Open Road, both have handled them when they have met recently. And he's going to be coming from pretty far back.
Yeah, I am not taking on this track a horse that's got to come from as far back as Tiz Right Time. And Paulie sort of talked about it a little bit. Yes, he has the rail and he can save ground. The question is, when does he move outside? As we're showing you the last winner who won by a nose at $123. We're trying to find out, right? Did we get any kind of confirmation on whether or not there's carryovers in their pick 5s, or if they pay out the pool if there are only 4 or 5
Yeah, we're
winners?
working on that. I believe they pay out, but we'll double check on that.
Well, you are the pick 5 king on this show, so I'm going to.
Rolling Fork. Kim Poole, Kylie Jordan with that $123 winner. And yeah, Paul LaDuca confirming for us they do pay out.
So they don't have carryover.
No carryover.
Wow. They used to have at Oaklawn one of the great pick 6s in the country, the Classic 6. That was one of the bigger pick 6 pools in the country when the pick 6 first started and stuff. I know our friend Randy Moss used to be very involved in those. Randy was making picks way back when he was a kid. He was giving me the whole story. We were at the dinner one night this summer. He was telling me about it. Making picks for the papers in Oaklawn when he was...
Makes all his own figures?
Yeah, well, Randy makes figures for the buyer, for Buyer Associates, but Randy's making figures for a long time.
8th at Oaklawn, here we go. It is Keystone Field at 3. We both like short price. Can Spankster, though, get to the front for D. Wayne Lucas, the 6? We'll find out. Let's go to Vic Stauffer for the call.
Last to load, Bye-Bye Bobby. Silver Dust acting up in the gate. 9-year-old millionaire, and he's cantankerous. Gabe Saez back aboard. Silver Dust into gate 8. Bye-Bye Bobby is already in. They're at the post and they're off. Silver Dust has asked for a lot of speed, but he's not as quick as Great Escape or Open Road or Spankster. Then Keystone Field, Silver Dust will sit in the 5th. A length and a half to Captain Bombastic, followed by Bye Bye Bobby. And at the back of the pack, already out-sprinted, are Calibrate and 'Tis Ride Time. Great Escape to the backstretch. He's a length and a quarter in front of Open Road. Keystone Field is 3rd at the rail and 2 from the front. Spankster has 2.5 lengths to make up. Then to the outside and Bye Bye Bobby. The Millionaire, Silver Dust, is between horses and Captain Bombastic at the rail. The back markers are closer now. They're about 9 off the lead, and they are Calibrate and 'Tis Ride Time. As they run up the backstretch, Great Escape is the leader. It is Great Escape, 3/4 of a length to Open Road and Keystone Field. Both of them with no excuse. They're sitting in good striking spots. 2 lengths to Bye Bye Bobby and Spankster. A length and a half to Silver Dust. He's now 5 off the lead. Then Captain Bombastic. Still the 2 trailers are Calibrate and 'Tis Ride Time. They round the far turn. Great Escape has the lead. Open Road is much closer now in second. Great Escape only leads by a neck. Open Road has every chance to outfinish him. 3 back to Keystone Field, who could still do it. 2.5 more back to Silver Dust and Spankster. Then from the back of the pack are Calibrate and 'Tis Ride Time. And here comes Keystone Field off the top of the turn. And he slingshots to the lead. Keystone Field now a length and a half in front of Great Escape. Not today for Open Road. 'Tis Ride Time with a late run, but it's Keystone Field, a 16th out, and he's gone. Great Escape is second best. Keystone Field in front. Keystone Field won by 4. Great Escape was second. Very close for third. Maybe Open Road over 'Tis Ride Time.
Keystone Field picks up the 7th win of his career, but it's in a big move mid-stretch.
Oh, you got an absolutely perfect trip by Castillo sitting on the rail and moving out. Just much the best in this field, absolutely buried the field. I have absolutely no idea why Dan Cabrera had no sense of urgency with the 6 Spankster out of the gate. Obviously, he had no chance if he was trying to rate. You don't stretch out with a speed horse and you win going long. But the winner of this race, Keystone Field, who was much the best.
Dominant win. Great Escape, who surprisingly that horse was out in front, able to hang on for second for Robertino Diodoro.
In front of the 6, but clearly they weren't interested in having to lead with a 6.
So your winner, Keystone Field, has now won 3 of his last 4. His only defeat in that span in the mud last time out beat a neck when he was more than 6 lengths clear of the 3rd place finish. This horse in sharp form right now.
No question about it.
For the Maker Barn, Isaac Castillo. It did not go off your favorite, actually, 5-2.
Yeah, he should have been favored. The 5's, that horse got a little phony in him, doesn't he? The 5. He held on for 3rd, but.
Prices when we come back. We will set the stage for race 9. The Pippin, fillies and mares in the rematch. The top 3 finishers from that mistletoe. Stay with us.
The sun shines bright on Caraconte. His first crops of racing age are showing brilliance on the racetrack with a high percentage of stakes winners. His versatility is evidenced by winners on all surfaces across the globe. And his offspring are lighting up the sales ring. With his biggest and best quality of books in the pipeline, the sun shines bright on this value sire. Caraconte, standing at Gainesway.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races on our FS2 coverage. Regional networks out in SoCal with us as well. Program brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. Greg Wolf, Andy Serling, Paul LaDuca with you with live coverage from Oaklawn. Features coming up next in the 8th Keystone Field. One of the more impressive performers we've seen today.
Yeah, he was a dominant winner of this race. Just gave the right ride, stayed on the rail, which has obviously been good, and just angled out. Open road had no response. Great Escape allowed to control the pace when the 6 didn't get an aggressive ride. Finished second, took advantage of the racetrack. And if you think about it, you know, the horses that ran 1-2 in this race spent almost the entire time on the rail, whereas Open Road was stalking too wide. It does feel like the inside's been an advantage at Oaklawn today.
So horse really, for most of his career, been kind of a turf horse. Mike Maker claims him. He's known really for switching horses from dirt to turf. Does the opposite here, and it's turned out well with his 8-year-old. $7.80 for the win. Keystone Field for the Maker Barn. Great Escape, Open Road. Your top 3. Paul LaDuca is standing by with a winning rider.
Yes, Greg, I'm with winning rider here, Isaac Castillo. I was talking to Isaac. This is the first horse you've ever ridden for Mike Maker, and you got the job done. Really looked well in the paddock and handled everything really professionally. No, Isaac?
Yes, it's very professional horse. Thank you, the owner and the trainer, for giving me the opportunity to ride this nice horse. So, the horse got the job done.
I know you were in Panama for a while now. Since about 6 or 7 years you've been over here, starting to get familiar. You've been riding for Asmussen. This is not bad to get a win for Mr. Maker, isn't it?
No, but I train every time, you know, every race. Train every time, ride one horse. So thank you, every owner, trainer, giving opportunity.
Well, good luck and congratulations. Good luck a little bit later in the card. Isaac Castillo, unknown rider that you're going to start to know very, very quickly.
Paulie, thanks. Yeah, we really learned a lot about this native of Panama last year, Isaac Castillo, when he was getting mounts regularly for Steve Asmussen, some other big outfits as well, and kind of got on our radar for the first time. Just made his U.S. debut in pretty recently. I mean, December 2016.
Yeah, I hadn't been familiar with him at all. We're seeing him ride, but he gave this horse an absolutely perfect ride.
All right, here we go. Feature coming up next. Fillies and Mares in the Pippin. Mile and a 16th. And top 4 finishers from that mistletoe actually going to be lining up. La Davida was the favorite in that race and wound up 4th. But Lovely Ride coach Will Secret, they were 1, 2, 3. They will go at it again coming up in this featured Saturday afternoon race in the Distaff division. Earlier today, Robertino Diodoro picked up career win number 3,000 back in race number 2 with Arthurian. Paul LaDuca had a chance to catch up with him after the win.
Trainer Robertino Diodoro, who won his 3,000th race earlier in race number 2 here at Oaklawn Park with Arthurian. You know, Robertino, it goes way back to your Canadian roots.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. You know, back to the Stampede Park, Trout Springs, Northland Park days. It's been a long road, but it's been a lot of fun.
And, you know, you said something that was very special here. Your fiance's here, your family's here to see this. How much does that mean to you as well?
Oh, it means a lot, you know, especially my dad. When I first started, if it wasn't for him helping, between not being able to get help and affording help, I wouldn't have been able to do it without him. So, you know, it's very special to have them here.
You were telling me, you know, when you were a young kid in Canada, the thing was in Canada, they would go down and you would invade my place, Turf Paradise, where I grew up, and then they would come back to Canada. And that's how you sort of branched out to the States and then went towards California, no?
Yeah, definitely. You know, that was a big thing. Go down there and claim Phoenix fit horses and bring them up to Canada in the spring and hopefully get a jump start on everyone. So, yeah, Turf Paradise has been very good to us.
I know you're a historian of this game. You're the 37th trainer to win 3,000 races. Has it sunk in yet?
No, it's a great accomplishment, but it's a team. You know, right from the owners to the help. Got to have good assistants, and you know, we have a real good crew. You know, I'm pretty proud of them.
Congratulations, Robertino. The only thing I would ever do with you again is we could sing "Oh Canada" together.
Yeah, maybe one of these nights.
Robertino Diodoro, 3,000.
Incredible accomplishment for that barn. And, you know, we talk year after year at Oaklawn, he is one of the absolute dominant trainers. He's always in the mix for that training title, but he's spent a career winning races.
No, absolutely. Obviously, as he's built up and his stable's gotten stronger, running at some bigger tracks, and obviously having a great run. I mean, he came to Saratoga. I don't, you know, time flies. I know I had him on my radio show the first summer he came there, and obviously had success right away. Rob Attridge worked for him, winning a lot of races here, and 3,000 is no mean achievement.
As Paulie mentioned, 37th trainer in the history of the sport to reach that number. The amount of horses just that he sends out every year, he's going to jump to 4,000 pretty quickly.
Yeah, no, he's got operations all over the place. But and as you say, I mean, it's not like he was running a lot at New York and then you know, started going to Oaklawn, a bigger place. He was running a lot of Turf Paradise. He was winning races out in Canada. Yeah.
He's got the filly, by the way, who was the best of the bunch in that Mistletoe. And we'll try and do it again in the Pippin. Lovely ride. We'll line up for Diodoro coming up next in the Saturday feature. Stay tuned for that. Still to come, we'll recap as well the road to the Kentucky Derby from South Ozone Park earlier today in the Jerome. Lugan Knight in a battle with the favorite Arctic Arrogance and would not relent on the front end. Stay with us. We'll be back.
It's 1,000 words fighting back, coming down to the finish. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, this is one stunning picture.
1,000 words just in front. 1,000 words wins the Robert B. Lewis.
Honoree P is full out now, second on the outside. And they're coming down to the line, and 1,000 words has done it.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than America'sBestRacing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. America'sBestRacing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
Whatever you use to predict future stallion success, breathe slowly and gaze at the desert's first great championship race. Curlin won it. So did Street Cry, Arrogate, and now, in a time even faster than Arrogate's, Mystic Guide. The cold hard fact is, after this, he was rated the best horse in the world. Mystic Guide. New to Darley.
We take pride in what we do.
I'm an assistant trainer. Carpenter.
I'm a peace officer.
I'm a jockey.
I'm a gardener.
I'm a groom. I love what I do.
We are New York Racing. New York Racing helps support my small business.
It's extremely important to the New York economy.
This is like a big family.
We are New York Horse Racing.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races on our FS2 coverage. Regional networks out in Southern California. We got the feature coming up at Oaklawn Park next in that distaff division in the Pippin. We're going to look back, though, on today's Derby Trail in the Jerome from here at Aqueduct and Lugan Knight. We talked about it beforehand, just the fact that Michael McCarthy, highly respected trainer, shipping this horse into New York. Thought he'd be a danger.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously we're a long way from the Kentucky Derby, and nobody's going to sit here, including Michael McCarthy, and tell you that, oh, I've got a Derby horse here. It's a process, trying to get there, and you want to take baby steps. And this horse would run in a very good field, finished third, narrowly beaten third, behind the horse that came back to win the Smarty Jones last week at Oaklawn. When Andiamo a Firenze, who appeared to be the speed of the speed, for whatever reason they decided to rate him in here, Dylan Davis took no prisoners. He said, okay, he doesn't want to go, I'm going to go. Pace was moderate, and he and the favorite outside of him were controlling the race, Arctic Arrogance. And it feels like Arctic Arrogance not really aggressively passing horses, a horse that had never sort of rated behind horses. But give all the credit to Lugan Knight and Dylan Davis. Rail's been good today, but Dylan took advantage of it, and onwards and upwards, hopefully, for him.
Not the horse we expected to see in front, but, you know, heads up ride by Dylan when Andiamo a Firenze didn't take advantage of it. We'll see going forward. You know, this was a mile. Distances are going to get longer. Is he going to be as effective? We'll find those. We'll
He's going
find
to be
out.
as good. Yeah,
answer
and the
those
race,
questions.
at some point, the going's going to get tougher. But listen, you're not looking to run your very best race in the beginning of January. You're looking to use these races as preps. That's why they're considered preps. And that's a reason that, in my opinion, none of the final preps, none of the preps at all for the Kentucky Derby, Preakness, or Belmont should be grade 1s. They're all preps. They should all be grade 2. Santa Anita, Florida, the Bluegrass, the Wood Memorial. Last year, the Wood Memorial, the most productive prep. There's a certain randomness to it, but every one of them is a stepping stone to get somewhere. Mo Donegal, he used it to win the Belmont Stakes.
Yeah.
Early voting, he used the Wood to win the Preakness. He didn't even run in the Kentucky Derby. They're a means to an end, and Lugan Knight passed the test. Arctic Arrogance, I think Linda's probably wondering a little bit if he's necessarily a horse can be effective in these races without controlling the pace.
But certainly a horse that
a talented horse.
Deserves another shot and going to stay on that Derby trail.
Yeah. I mean, you maybe, does Linda Rice going to take a shot going 1.1 miles in the race? I think it depends. You have to, at some point, you try to be realistic and act, is he really a Derby type horse? Let's see what the figures come back also and see how it comes back. It's a long process. You're not looking to be ridiculously aggressive. It's not like Arctic Arrogance hasn't shown that he's a player in this crop. I mean, you got some good horses in Forte, Cave Rock, but I don't think there's a lot. There's a lot of room up there for other horses.
Pippin next from Oaklawn.
Is this for Scotty?
I don't think so.
You don't think Scotty's there to present the trophy?
Probably not. There's Robertino Diodoro in the background, looking to add to that 3,000 win total with Lovely Ride. She was the winner of the Mistletoe, beating Coach, beating Will Secret, and Le Davida. Right now, though, it is, wow, Ice Orchid's favored. We'll be back.
Grade 1 winner and track record setter Lee. Like their sire, his runners have excelled on both dirt and turf, including these standout performers.
Poppy Flower is kicking in. Poppy Flower with the momentum.
Nagarok, they come on for the finish, and it is going to be Nagarok.
Out of a Galileo mare, this dual surface star has sired juvenile stakes winners on both dirt and turf. Lee, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races on FS2 Regional Networks out in Southern California. It's brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Pippin Stakes is next in this Distaff division. And again, the top 4 finishers returning from that Mistletoe. Lovely Ride was the winner that day, beating Coach, Will Secret, and Le Davida in that spot.
Ooh, that was very good. I guess the question is, was the sloppy sealed track that day? You know, how much do you trust those races? But on the other hand, the way this track is playing, doesn't Lovely Ride have another pace advantage in here? Well, actually not. Because on paper, you'd have to think the number 6 is going to be faster. So I'm not sure she's going to be in front in here. And isn't Traverse supposed to be aggressive? The one for Riley Mott? I'm rooting for Riley to do well, huh? Just went out on his own.
Yeah, I mean, that horse sprint speed, some of it on synthetic, but showed, you know, the ability on dirt as well. With that track condition you're talking about, I think the big factor is La De Vida. Can she turn it around on a fast track? Here is Traverse at 9-1.
I think this is an interesting horse because if the number 6 Grazon Macho Gal isn't that aggressive, this horse could be the speed, taking advantage of the rail position. Not impossible.
La De Vida, she was so impressive winning her first 2 states starts, and then she was 4th in the Mistletoe.
No, but you're absolutely right. I mean, she ran so much worse. You have to think the track played a role in it. She should get good position here, sitting behind the speeds on the inside.
For Diodoro, lovely ride. She went gate to wire in the Mistletoe.
If she clears the 1 and the 6 isn't aggressive and she ends up in front, she can do it again, but I do feel like the mud helped her last time.
Family Time, 44-1 here.
Seems like an underlay. If this horse wins with that big price earlier, there will not be any winners of 5. That
appears to be up against Ice Orchid, favored at 5-2.
What? Based on what?
I'm with you. I don't get it.
This horse should be like 10-1. Oh my gosh.
Grayson's Macho Gal. We'll get back to her in a moment. For John Ortiz with Gabriel Saez.
She's dangerous only if she can clear. I don't really think she's fast enough, but if she clears in here, the way this racetrack's been playing, I think it moves her up. Why is she 22-1 and the 5? I mean, why is she 22-1 and the 5 is 5-2? That makes no sense.
We all expected Coach to go to the lead last start. She did not. She wound up 2nd. We'll see what the tactics are today.
I wonder if she's quite as good when she got good last year, but obviously not impossible.
We're up to Will Secret. Blinkers on for Dwayne Lucas.
Yeah, I just didn't think she was fast enough, though. I don't know why she's 10-1 and the 5 is 5. I can't figure out the 5.
And we skipped over long shot Misty Vale off the claim for Mike Maker. And then here's the 10. Forever Dreaming comes in off a win on the turf. That was at Saratoga.
Her dirt races are absolutely atrocious. She should be 100-1 in this race. Misty Vale, who we skipped over talking about, she used to be a speed horse, but it just feels like she's lost her speed. Well, Greg, I want to try to, maybe Paulie can help us with this. I assume we're going to him.
We are.
I want to know if he can figure out why the 5 is taking so much, but she's 2-1. What's going on here? Paulie, help us.
Well, she's taking money, you know, to be honest with you, is because she's been working well in the morning. And I know that John Ortiz, when he ran her at Churchill Downs, he had told me this is one of his better fillies that he's had. Now, you know, she ran well here last year too, and she's going to have to come for a little bit off the pace. When you look at some of her PPs, she lost to Secret Oath when Secret Oath was, you know, obviously a lot more mature than she was at the time, and I can understand. I actually thought she was the horse to bet in here, but not now. I mean, I didn't think this horse would be 5-2. I thought this horse would be 7-8-1. And on the racetrack, she was a tiny bit like hot under the collar. We've seen that a couple times, so I just can't endorse it 5-2. When I came here today, I liked her a little bit, but just not at that price. You do talk about the 6 in here. I think the 6 holds a lot of cards because if the 6 does not go with the 3, you know, Robertine Diodoro is going to win another one. I mean, because this horse did not stop last time. I know it was this kind of a slowish race. We'll see if Coach puts more pressure on him today and not, you know, not let him get away. The 2, La De Vida, you know, got on a wet surface for the first time. How is that going to help her mentally? She did not run that well, but her other 2 races, obviously she showed a ton of talent. And I think getting the inside post, she might rebound in here. But the way this board is playing, I have a feeling that the 3 horse might run a big race right back here. Lovely ride. Again, the 5 at 5-2 now, and the 7 is taking money here, Coach. But I'll go with Lovely Ride. I'll go with Diodoro. This horse likes to win races. I did like Ice Orchid, and I'm going off this horse because too low of a price.
All right, well, there is the filly that went gate to wire in the Mistletoe. That's Lovely Ride. She's 9-2. And we're going to take a look at her Mistletoe victory. Able to get to the front. She did not look back, and she got stronger in the stretch.
No, listen, she ran terrific last time. But I think, forget about the wet track, because it's not as though she hasn't run okay on dry tracks before. But I think the question you have to ask yourself is race going to play out the same way? Because you have new shooters. Is Traverse going to be aggressive from the inside with Arietta? Is Grazon Macho, a horse that, according to Pace Projector from Timeform, is supposed to be in front? Doesn't mean she will be, but if she is, will she be in front? And can you trust Lovely Ride to be as effective as she is in controlling? And when you couple that with, if she isn't as effective, getting to a dry surface, the 2 La Ludovita, I just think she's a better horse. I'm not, listen, she's 9-2 if you like her. I'm not trying to talk people off Lovely Ride. I'm more saying the different possible scenario here. That's all.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Going to be a much tougher go of it if she wants to try and win the way she did in the Mistletoe. Meanwhile, back to Ludovita. So her first 2 starts in the U.S. She wins at Churchill with an 86 Spire, impressively. Backs that up with an even more impressive win at Keeneland, which we're going to show you here on October 29th.
And, of course, her trainer, Nacho Correas, a trainer we've seen be successful. Was it Blue Prize?
Yes.
That was the horse he won with Joe Bravo. He won the distaff.
Just.
Yes. No, that's this year. I've got the wrong name wrong. You know, I'm thinking about a few years ago, he won the Breeders' Cup Distaff in an upset. Nacho.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
Blue Prize, I think, was the horse that lost this year to Malathot, right? Yeah. But it's a similar type name, I'm thinking. But whatever, we know that Nacho, you know, he's a trainer you don't see with a lot of horses, but he's a trainer who can win a big race. And I really think she ran so much worse in other 2 races, you have to sort of blame the wet track. It just didn't work in her favor. Well,
Blue Prize was the winner.
That was, I had the right horse. Okay, I had the right horse. All right. So we were right to begin with. I think Traverse is a little interesting, and I think it's interesting to see how Riley Mott does. You know, just starting out, only had a few starters, 9 starters in 2022. It'd be interesting to see how he does, because obviously, yes, he's Bill Mott's son, but he's also been an assistant working with Bill for a long, long time, working together. So he has a lot of experience, and it's nice to see him. He's getting some backing from Claiborne Farm, getting this horse. And I think this one could be dangerous on the inside.
For Claiborne, and then in those familiar gold silks of Claiborne. Loaded up there with Francisco Arieta, undefeated on dirt. Started on synthetic, now 2 for 2 on dirt. Obviously, major class test here. See if she is up to the task. Lovely Ride the 3, trying to repeat against basically the same group. Couple new shooters, but got it done in the Mistletoe. Gate to wire, might have to do it a different way today. It's the Pippin. Saturday feature from Oak Lawn. Let's go to Vic Stauffer.
They're at the post. They're off. Awkward start for both Family Time and Forever Dreaming. Good start for Lovely Ride, and Ice Orchid traverses at the rail. Grayson's Macho Gal is next, then La Davida and to the outside Coach. Then through at the inside goes Misty Vale and Family Time, who moves up after a tardy start. Will's Secret and Forever Dreaming is the trailer, and the leader is Lovely Ride. Lovely Ride to the backstretch, a length in front of Ice Orchid, who attends the pace in second. Traverses at the rail. Defending champion Coach is right there. She's fourth, a joint third, and 2.5 off the lead, with Grayson's Macho Gal just between horses. 2.5 back to La Davida. She's got 5 lengths to make up, and a length and a half in front of Will's Secret. Family Time is third last with 7 to close. She's 3 in front of Misty Vale, and Forever Dreaming is 13 behind, a half mile left to run in the 41st running of the Pippin, and the leader is Lovely Ride. She's trying to take them all the way. No excuses for Ice Orchid. She is right behind in second. A length and a half to Grayson's Macho Gal and Coach. Coach just put her white bridle up into third. 2.5 to Traverse. La Davida is beginning to unwind. She's 6 off the lead. To the outside in Will's Secret, Lovely Ride and Ice Orchid. Lovely Ride at the quarter pole. A half length in front of Ice Orchid, who has every chance to outfinish her. These two have separated themselves 4 lengths from La Davida. Lovely Ride is tough to get by. Lovely Ride, a final furlong, and she is turning away Ice Orchid, who's going to try her one more time. Lovely Ride reaches. Ice Orchid trying to forge by. Now she's getting closer again. La Davida closing third. Lovely Ride. Ice Orchid cannot catch Lovely Ride. The 41st Pippin goes to Lovely Ride over Ice Orchid. La Davida was third, close for fourth. Traverse and Grayson's Macho Gal.
Lovely Ride, repeat of what we saw in the Mistletoe. She was able to get to the front. Once you knew she was on the front end, looked like it was going to be a tough task for everybody else.
Yeah, and when you knew they were crawling in the second quarter. Francisco Arieta had his feet in the dash with the 1 Traverse. I have no idea what his plan was when the 6 Grayson Macho Gal rated. She was going, a moderate first quarter, not super slow, but then she just crawled up there and very hard to close. I mean, Ludovita did well to finish third and come as close as she did, but give credit to Torres and Diodoro. They had a plan. They said, we're going. And nobody else, once she went, seemed to want to go, and it gave her the race. The 5 Ice Orchard, she ran to the money. She ran fine in here. She just proved to be second best. And she was a bit compromised because the pace didn't come up as quickly as it could have. And the same could be said for the number 2.
3001 for Robertino Diodoro. And this filly now mare, 5-year-old mare, 7 for 15 in her career, now back-to-back stakes wins at Oaklawn.
Yeah, she did not need a sloppy track. But I do think, based on what we've seen so far on this racetrack, there's an argument that she was very flat. Not only is that the right trip to get on any dirt surface, unless it's a dead rail situation, but this track has been very conducive to this sort of running style. I think all first 3 finishers ran well in this race, but Lovely Ride got the absolute right trip and the right ride on here. And I think the riders need to be paying more attention to what's going on, because a horse like Traverse is going to need any advantage she can get to be effective, and so she has no chance in a situation like that. At least give her best chance. She wouldn't have won anyway, but at least give her a chance.
Productive last few weeks here for this 5-year-old mare, Lovely Ride. Back-to-back stakes wins here at the meet at Oaklawn for Diodoro, John Holloman, Flying Peace Stable, and Christian Torres. We'll be back.
It's a domineering display by the ultra-talented McKenzie.
McKenzie in a dominant performance.
300 Wanda, 300,000. 275 medium, 275,000. 75, but to get 75, 275,000. 250 on Ralph now, 250,000. Able to get $200,000.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
Here comes Malathaat. Here comes Clairiere on the outside. They're coming to the finish, and it's got to be Clairiere. Nest, much the best. She won by better than 10 lengths. Cody's Wish on the outside. Cody's Wish with the upset in the Fargo. Malathaat grabs the lead in deep stretch, and Malathaat has won the Personal Ensign Stakes.
Curling, the classic sire. How do you become the gold standard in racing partnerships? One partner, one horse, one victory at a time.
Flight line, 20 lengths clear.
Congratulations to all our partners who have made West Point the gold standard for the last 3 decades.
You're watching America's Day at the Races on our FS2 coverage. It's brought to you in part where you can play all the action at Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Go to NairaBets.com. Get signed up and started. Pippin. It seemed like it was over early. Lovely Ride, able to take command, get to the front under Christian Torres. And we know how tough she is in the front end.
Yeah, no, she really was able to control in here. And listen, she's an improving horse. And they have such a good stakes program for the fillies and mares going long there as they step forward the Bayakoa. The Azari. And the Razi, Azari, and then, of course, the Apple Blossom, the Grade 1. And we've seen so many good horses in Oaklawn over the years race there.
And there's no monster out there in this division targeting those races, is there?
Clariere's coming. Is she coming back? I don't know if she is, to be honest with you. I mean, I guess the question is, what is Ness doing? Obviously, she's the one looming out there. I know Search Results is coming back, but I doubt she would go there. Clairiere would if she's still running. I don't know if she's still in training. I can actually find out pretty easily. Malathaat has been retired.
Yeah.
But, and what about the horse who ran second in the Breeders' Cup? The one whose name I was trying to remember. That filly from California. She ran so well.
Potentially could stay on the West Coast. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm just, throwing them out there.
Let's go to Paul for more.
Sorry, guys, we're talking here with Christian Torres, who's telling me he played center field growing up. And was baseball your first passion?
Yeah, definitely. And when I was 13, I didn't see myself growing up, so I stopped playing and decided to become a jockey.
Well, you became a good jockey. Congratulations. First of all, I want to ask you what happened earlier. Get the 3,000th win for Robertino Diodoro. How was that?
Oh, it's a beautiful moment. Robertino's been supportive with me, and winning his 3,000 wins, it means a lot, you know. It was a special moment. His family's here, and his fiancé is here. It was a good experience.
Now, this horse right here, you know, this horse went gate to wire last time. A lot of people thought maybe the slop, but today he proved everybody wrong.
Yeah, she's a filly that she runs anywhere. You know, she proved herself. Few races back, she used to run on the turf too. You know, she runs anywhere, and she loved the slop. And today there was a lot of speed, but I had confidence on my filly. She's been working beautiful, and we stick with the plan. You know, break and go, and she's very nice. She's stick with it.
Well, she ran beautifully for you today. Congratulations. And not only is he the leading jockey here in Oaklawn, I think I might go hit him some fly balls and see if he can catch some balls in left center and right center. We'll see what's going on here with Christian Torres.
Well, multi-talented, but a man, it looks like he made the right decision, getting some big outfits to ride for.
Yeah, no, nice to see him, and I see guys getting chances there. And I think one of the things for us watching the race at Oaklawn, getting a chance to see some other riders that we wouldn't necessarily get to see. And it was fun watching David Cabrera, who was having such a good meet last year, Francisco Arrieta, who improved a lot. Be interesting to see, and see if Ricardo Santana bounces back as well. I expect him to have a big meet down there.
Yeah. Back-to-back stakes wins on the lead every step of the way for a lovely ride. And when you do it again like that in a race where you're not expected to get to the front, well done by these connections to be aggressive and make it happen.
They told everybody else, we're going to do this. We'll see what you want to do. And they just abdicated the lead. And quick enough first quarter, but slowed it up thereafter.
To close out the card at Oaklawn, 6 furlong sprint, Arkansas bred runners, maiden special weight. And I would suspect the 10 is going to be taking a lot of money in here, Indian Irish. Start number 3, blinkers coming on, yet 2-1 right now, 8-5 morning line for Rainey Morse. Speed already, now adding blinkers, and just missed at this level last start.
No, I agree. I mean, there's really not a lot to go on. Now, I don't like the fact that the horse lost at 6-5. To a first-time star that got a perfect trip, but I hate that. But you look through, and I mean, the question becomes, are there any live first-time stars in there? It's tough. You're looking at a bunch of Arkansas breds. The likelihood you're going to uncover a lot of, you know, diamonds in the rough in there, the pedigree side, it's pretty unlikely.
Get a look at this field post-parade when we come back. This will close out the card at Oaklawn. We'll also have the story of second chances for both equine athletes and incarcerated individuals working with them, often developing a strong bond in the process. We'll have that story from Wallkill Correctional Facility when we come back.
Secretariat now by 5 lengths.
Few horses have stood in esteemed stall #1 at Claiborne Farm, and all of them champions, legends of the sport.
And down the stretch they come. Unbridled takes command.
Who influenced the generations that followed. Today, stall #1 belongs to Run Happy, who is looking to create champions in the generations to come.
Bold Ruler, Secretariat, Easy Goer, Unbridled, and then Run Happy. Each of those horses were North American champions at one point in their careers.
All in line, and they're off.
Secretariat by 7. Secretariat 8 lengths.
Fente just hand-riding onto the wire. He takes this in terror by 2.5 lengths.
You got to be basically be a champion to live in that stall, and certainly Run Happy was. Whoever's after Run Happy will have to make sure he was a champion as well. Hopefully Run Happy will be able to keep his name on the door and add to the list of great horses that live in that stall.
Thanks for being with us on this Saturday card as we continue. We have the nightcap coming up at Oaklawn. Our program brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Second chances, that's what the program at Wallkill Correctional Facility is all about. For the equine athletes, it's a second chance once their careers on the racetrack are over. And for the incarcerated individuals who work with them, it's a second chance to build vocational skills and life skills, and often developing a very strong bond with the horses they work with.
At the Wallkill Correctional Facility in Ulster County, New York, the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation provides a program that gives both retired racehorses and the incarcerated individuals who care for them a second chance at life, and maybe even a second family.
It's my boy. It's my boy. I wasn't aware that the program even existed. I had never worked with horses before.
I was petrified at first, and I'm not really scared of many things. But when you're next to one of them and they're humongous like that, it's definitely a challenge.
Once they hear me, they coming. They just look, you see the ears come out, they look. Once they see it's me, they coming. They all coming. And it's like, oh man, it's like babies, you know. It's beautiful, you know.
They're locked in most of the time when they're not out with us from 8:30 to 2:30 every day. So those other times when they're inside, they're not themselves. But when they step foot out here at 8:30 in the morning, they change. They're totally different people.
I didn't know it was going to be such an emotional thing. And you really do kind of bond with the animals, and they look for you to be there for them.
It's more love out here. It's more peace, tranquility, solace, anything you want to call it, the epitome of peace to me.
It's definitely a game changer for being someone who's incarcerated and always being around grown men, different behaviors, and not being able to actually express your feelings to them. You come out here, you can do that with the animals.
I need that. Whatever it takes to get home to my family, I'm going to try it. But then I got out here and I met a whole new family.
How's the family?
Yeah.
Like you said, this is a family. This is a family between the horses, us. Like, you know, we bond a lot here.
I didn't even know I could drive a tractor. I didn't know I could drive a tractor. I didn't know I could mow a lawn. Anything to make this place look better, to make it better for the horses.
At the end of the day, it's all for the horses.
All for the horses.
It doesn't feel like work. It feels like you're home. Come on, girls.
To be able to say to somebody, I have a certificate, like I was successful while I was incarcerated. I may have made a mistake, but I was able to get that second chance while I was here as well.
I did get a letter of assurance saying that some people were interested in employing me, so like that's just everything I'm hoping for right now.
I talk to them, I speak to them about things that I don't speak to people about in there. I can feel like they actually relate to me, and the same second chance that they're given, I feel like I'm getting.
Well, a terrific program, doing good for those incarcerated, give them a second chance to work with these horses. It's really touching to see how much it's really changed their lives and to give these equine athletes purpose as well once their careers are over.
It's an absolutely sensational program. And, you and I both have spent time with Kim Weir from the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation, and one of the things, they're trying to expand it and do it with more, and it's something it's getting more and more attention. It's becoming more widespread. The opportunity for the inmates to work with the horses, not only the therapeutic value of working with the horses for the inmates, but also giving them a skill and giving them a chance to do something when they get out. And I think nothing could be more important. I think it works at so many different levels, and a great program, and something that terrific that Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation is very involved in.
We're going to take a time out. We'll be back. We have the nightcap still to come from Hot Springs, Arkansas. Again, this speedster, the 10, Indian Irish, could be tough to catch in this spot, but inside posts have been doing awfully well. We'll see if any of these first-time starters can make an impact in the finale on this Saturday card in Arkansas.
War Dancer. The momentum continues with recent stakes winners on turf and dirt. Dancing Buck going wire to wire in the Grade 3 Belmont Turf.
Dancing Buck has opened up on the field. It is Dancing Buck by a half-dozen lengths.
And 2-year-old filly War Saichi with a wire-to-wire win in the Ladyfinger Stakes.
War Saichi asserted her authority immediately out of the starting gate, and she has not relinquished the lead.
War Dancer, the #1 third-crop turf sire in North America. Proud to stand in New York.
This season at Oaklawn, we've got more of everything. More of the top thoroughbreds in the world. More days of live racing. And the largest purses in our history. All at a completely reimagined Oaklawn. Come be a part of this historic season at Arkansas's only casino resort.
The Run Happies are running, the Run Happies are selling, the Run Happies are winning. Eclipse champion Run Happy is showing a new dimension with winners on turf, dirt, and all weather. A record-breaking sprint champion, Run Happy is also showing winners at all distances, from 7 furlongs to 1.25 miles. A sire whose runners can carry his speed over all distances and all surfaces. Run Happy, price for value, and standing strong at Claiborne Farm.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races. We got the 10th coming up. Close out the card at Oaklawn. Arkansas bred. I almost say New York, but Arkansas bred maiden special weight at 6 furlongs. And the favorite, Indian Irish. Speed, blinkers coming on to get even more speed. Can she seal the deal today, Paulie, and go gate to wire?
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting if she can or not. Now, she has blinkers on today. They're kind of like half cut. I would say she can see somewhat. They're not completely full cut blinkers. My worry is, and it's one of my handicapping peeves or something that I've always had that I've used in the back of my head, is that, when a horse that shows speed like this and was a favorite basically at 7-5 last time and couldn't seal the deal, why do we need to put blinkers on to show more speed? Are we trying to really clear this field? It kind of I just don't like that angle. I have never liked that angle, and I have a feeling this horse is going to run second or third. I mean, I get it, the way this racetrack is playing. I get this horse might clear this field, but the first-time starters in here, there's a ton of unknowns, and I think one of these horses might run him down late, or run her down late, excuse me. I thought the 2 Kokomo Starlet looked well on the racetrack, at least. The one Amazing Debate taking a ton of money with the blinkers off. I don't know where that money's coming from at 6-1. So there's just so many question marks. I do know this. The 7 looked tremendous on the racetrack. First-time starter for Brett Calhoun, who's very good with his firsters. the work 3 back on December 4th is a very nice work. Do you get a little bit worried that the one out of the gate was a little slow? I don't know, but I just cannot trust this 10 here at 5-2. I get it that this horse will have the lead. This racetrack's been playing towards it. But again, I just cannot take when they put blinkers on a horse that already has speed. I'll go with the first time 7 with the 7. Fly Like the Wind, and hopefully he does.
Yeah, Fly Like the Wind right now, 4-1. That is the 7. So Brett Calhoun, as Paulie talked about, will get Lasix for the first start. And as he pointed out, that worked December 4th. Third quickest of 89 that morning in that 47-2 move.
Yeah, it's hard to know if the firster's getting bet. You know what I mean? It's just hard to know. Is it like, is there no other options in here? So, oh, well, it's Brett Calhoun. He's a dangerous trainer. This is a first foal from Madame that did no running. But there's nobody in here that really any of them have much pedigree to speak of. Interesting that 3 was a Tapiture, but that horse is taking no money. I think the 11 is a little bit interesting in here. The horse hasn't run in 9 months, but the debut was the fastest fig. It was a 56 buyer, which would make her obviously very tough in here. And I say that because it means you feel like the horse can run well fresh. And obviously tailed off a little bit, but gets Lasix for the first time. Why can't this horse be okay here? I think 10-1 is an awfully good price on that horse. It's not like she's run that badly relative to the horses that have run.
What about, to Paul's point, in the equipment change on a horse who'd already been extremely quick, had already gotten a lead in both of her races? You agree?
I agree with Paulie in conceptually. I find blinker changes often to be acts of desperation. You wonder why they do them. On the other hand, this horse has only run twice. So it may be a situation where the rider felt that the horse needed to be focused. But they're probably frustrated last time, right? They had the lead and got caught. But what I'm more upset about is the horse had 6-5, had the lead and got caught. And I know the winner got a perfect trip to beat her. But still, you're kind of supposed to get it done at 6-5. And now she's the favorite again. Got all these first-time starters that are all the unknowns. She's the horse to beat. In general, I wonder, and it wouldn't be that hard to do, and I'm sure people do these things, run blinker changes. Through what are the stats on blinkers on? What are the chats on blinkers on and maidens? Not first-time starters, but blinker changes, And I'm going to guess it's probably a negative overall.
We had that 60-1 shot earlier in this late pick 5 sequence, by the way. So as a result, and we confirmed it for you, Paul LaDuca did actually, that they do pay out. There's no carryovers at Oaklawn in the pick 5. So the 3 Princess Hadley, the 5 Bonnie Lass, the 8 Fortibug, the 9 Dixie Girl 2, and the 12 Calypso Street all paying out to 4 or 5.
I wonder if it's, why wouldn't they have had a carryover? I believe, I was talking to my friend Steve Christ about this, and I agree with him. We carry the whole pool over if nobody hits it. I think there should be a conso paid if nobody hits it. It's the only pool out there where there's the whole pool gets carried. You follow me?
Yeah.
I can see if nobody hits it paying out a carryover, but it feels like there should be, today's day and age, you want carryovers, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants carryovers.
Yeah, creates more excitement. By the way, the 1, who was taking some money at 7-1, paying $59,000. A little more than that, actually.
To the 1. Go from the inside, right? Seen a lot of 1s doing well. Speed's been terrific today. I still think the 11's an overlay at 10-1. I don't understand why that horse is that.
11,000 to the 10.
I'm not alive. You alive?
Did not play. I would not have had the 60-1 shot.
I would not. I wouldn't have been close.
So, yeah, I would think several tickets, too. Yeah, singled probably to this 10.
Yeah.
Not often you get a 4 or 5 situation to pay out in a pick 5, but opportunity here to quite a few. In this finale here in Hot Springs, we'll see if the blinkers on make a difference for Indian Irish, the 10. Start number 3. Will third time be the charm for the Randy Morse filly. Joe Talamo rides. Let's go to Vic Stauffer for the call of the nightcap from Oaklawn.
Last horse to load is Calypso Street. Actually, one more, Miracle Shoes as well. They're at the post.
They're off. Very even start. Kokomo Starlet shows speed with Tis a Strategy. Indian Irish is close up, so is Dancing in the Pulpit. Calypso Street, Amazing Debate, and Bonnie Lass are next. Then Fly Like the Wind and Miracle Shoes. Princess Hadley has 3 beat. They are Tis a Strategy and Calypso Street, and the trailer is Dixie Girl 2. It's Kokomo Starlet and Indian Irish into the far turn. They're 1-2. Kokomo Starlet, a half length, now a full length in front. Indian Irish is second by 2 lengths to Amazing Debate, Dancing in the Pulpit. Then it's 2.5 back to Fly Like the Wind and Princess Hadley. They've got 6 lengths to make up. 4.5 back to Tis a Strategy. And they run to the top of the stretch, and it's still Kokomo Starlet and Indian Irish. Kokomo Starlet leads. She's a length and a half now in front of Indian Irish in second. Amazing Debate moves through between horses, and here comes Amazing Debate in the center of the racetrack, and she's got all the momentum to put a neck in front. Kokomo Starlet is battling on and trying to come back. It's these two by many. Amazing Debate, Kokomo Starlet second best. Amazing Debate in front. Amazing Debate beat Kokomo Starlet. Tis a Strategy was third, and maybe Calypso Street for fourth.
Amazing Debate sitting in a good spot behind 2 horses battling up front, and comes with a big finish here. It's a big reversal for him.
And rail, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the 2 gets the front. She looked to be cruising. You could see the 10, by the way, good call by Paulie. The blinkers made a big difference there. If anything, get him off of her, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And I said,
show the same speed.
The 2 was right. The 2 was cruising, and I said, well, the only that's can beat her is not the 10, it's the 1, because she's coming up the fence. And another race where the inside was very, very good. Often you think it's speed, but I think it was the inside was good at Oaklawn. I don't do their track trends, but I would say it was an inside track today.
Amazing Debate, 8th time out. That one making an equipment change. Blinkers coming off on that runner, getting the win. Inside was dominant all day long, pretty much at Oaklawn.
Yes, it was. It was fun. Should we do this tomorrow?
Yeah, let's come back. We're actually on FS1 tomorrow, 2:30 Eastern start time on our FS1 coverage, so we will see you then tomorrow. Fun day, though. We had a race on the Derby Trail, and maybe, just maybe, a Derby contender for Michael McCarthy.
They're Derby contenders now, but a long way to go.
Yes.
But right now, Derby contender.
All right, we will see you Sunday. Again, FS1, 2:30 Eastern start time. It was Lugan night in the Jerome for Michael McCarthy. BG Stables, Dylan Davis holding off Arctic Arrogance, the favorite, and would not relent on the front end. Law Professor just dominant in the Queens County. Much the best performance, dropping out of back-to-back grade 1s, including the Breeders' Cup 3rd mile. And Lovely Ride does it in the Mistletoe on the front end and repeats in the Pippin for Mr. 3000, Robertino Diodoro.